Hello. Hello everybody. It's it's that time again. The time again where we read some post-fantasy. Tripped over, your hand went into the blender, you turned it on with your head as you were folding. Not that bad, your entire hand is missing. That's besides the point. Okay. Bob. I think based on the way Shadow of Al is responding, I'm assuming whatever might have happened, if anything happened, was like a close call, and now Shadow of Al is making light of it. Is what I would presume, because if that was not the case, I think Shadow of Al would be on the way to the hospital right now. If it's completely true, and like, you know, your hand is missing, and you're like bleeding out your wrists because like there's no hand there, I'd probably recommend turning off the stream and getting medical attention as soon as possible. On the off chance that that's actually happened. Your entire hand is missing? What do I mean? How? Like... But you're chatting right now. You're either typing on the phone really fast with your thumb, or I don't know. I think you may have all your fingers. I think you might at least have 9 of your fingers. It's not that big a deal. Just take up guitar, okay? Be the next Django Reinhardt. Dude had like 3 fingers on his playing hand, and he played better than most people do with all 5. Admittedly, when you had one hand unavailable, you could type slowly with one hand. You have 5 remaining fingers, and you're good at typing with one hand. Okay, fair enough. I can kind of do that too. Can't do it fast, but I can kind of do it. Oh yeah, Bob. I remember that happened to you, Bob. While you were writing this very story we're reading. It might have happened while you were writing chapter 3. I don't remember. Or maybe early chapter 4. I don't remember. Okay, so we got a lot of... Let's go, over here first. Let's just make sure we're on live chat. Let's get rid of the Estelle faces temporarily to bring us to live chat. Go. Bring the Estelle faces right back. Bro, I can't wait. The 27th is like right around the corner, but like I want Trails from Zero now. Bro, I want to go to Crossbell. I want to be a police officer. It was while you were playing Library of Ruina? I think you were also writing some post-fantasy as well at the time, weren't you? Or maybe I'm completely mistaken? I could have sworn it wasn't that long ago. Ruina wasn't... Well, I mean, in relative terms, your Ruina playthrough wasn't that long ago. Okay, let's get the post-fantasy... Oh yeah, I need my co-streamers. Oh, I accidentally refreshed YouTube chat, which is not what I meant to do. Okay, I got my co-streamers up. Can you still move the pieces? Can you still move your hand even though it's been cut off? Was your fucking blender made of Giza glass? Okay, I need a story time. Here we go. Okay, so, alright, so because we usually do this every post-fantasy stream, I'm gonna do this again. So, post-fantasy is an interactive Touhou fanfiction written by Bob in chat. It is a story that takes place in the somewhat distant future, after magic and yokai and fantasy and the like have begun to sort of fade away a little bit. They've begun to kind of wane. In this world, a force referred to as truth, empiricism, and pure logic is the dominating force of what determines what is and isn't in the world. The story follows our protagonist, who is a descendant of the Reimu, Miko, that is her name, as she comes upon one day her family heirloom that starts glowing, and it starts talking to her. And then she learns that she's able to acquire the abilities of something called fragments. Fragments, which we have since learned, are something akin to the memories of the residents of Gensokyo, of this place, this land of fantasy that used to be where Miko currently lives. We've also learned, as of the end of Chapter 3, that they might be more than just like little imprints in the yin-yang orb. They might be more than just memories. There might be more to it than that. Sorry if you don't talk much. You're sick and wanting to like... I mean, you know, you're sick. It's gonna happen. Last time it's been entirely removed from the wrist up. Wait! Did you lose your hand, or did your hand lose you? Where the fuck was I? Right, dude, we're never gonna get through Chapter 4. Okay, so Miko is able to use these fragments. She acquires one. It's a fragment of the Yokai of Dusk. And she sees a memory of the Yokai of Dusk. And I'm giving you a story synopsis now of what we've been through so far. First, I give you the premise, and then I give you the synopsis. She sees a memory of the Yokai of Dusk, and based on that memory, she decides to give this little yokai girl she saw her last rites. In doing so, she attracts some attention. We've thus far met a cheerful and energetic yet forgetful fairy named Teki. We have met a neat ghost girl, and that's N-E-E-T, neat, not neat as in Neaterino. Neaterino, my deuterinos. Fuck, I fucking hate myself. I should fuck off back to Reddit. Named Tomo. A ghost girl named Tomo. When we came back to the shrine after meeting Tomo, we met a little girl whose life we saved, and we named her Kiseki Igai. And in the process of saving her life, we met a dragon girl named Aho. The next day, after we saved Igai's life, we had to go clothes shopping for her, and we did some other stuff. Because she literally showed up to the shrine in rags. She was wandering around the city with nowhere to go. And she woke up in a landfill, basically. Because she is like a newly born yokai. So, after that, we came back. Tomo and Aho got into a fight the night before, because Aho was standing guard, didn't know who Tomo was. So we tried to settle things between them, but instead we may have inadvertently pissed them both off. So Aho went to fuck off into the lake that's near the shrine, and Tomo went who knows where. Miko goes into the shrine, tries to settle things with Tomo, tries to smooth things out with her, and they have a talk, get to know each other a bit more. And then after that's done, we go to the lake. We try to do the same with Aho. Then, after that, we get brought back to the shrine. We have lunch with everybody. At least Aho called it lunch. More like dinner. And then we had a Danmaku duel with Tomo. We received a bit of spiritual damage from that. Not least of all from Tomo landing on us. Then after that, Miko wasn't quite herself. She seemed to be behaving a bit like Yuyuko. And we were snapped out of it. Miko was made to explain kind of how the fragments work, at least her general understanding of it. After that, we were brought back into the sea, this sort of spiritual space that Miko is pulled into whenever she goes to sleep. This is like a space that I guess is sort of meant to be like the inside of the Yin Yang Orb, but it's like a spiritual space, or at least that's how I understood it at first. Chapter 4 is going to go somewhere crazy with that, but that's spoiler talk. And we were confronted by Kyohi, the voice from inside the Yin Yang Orb. We finally get to see what she looks like, and she had a lot to say, a lot of negative things to say about Miko, despite being absent for like 2 days. She showed us a memory of an Amanajaku, and she did so in such a way that it kind of messed with Miko. The reason being, her ability is revealed to be the ability to link psyches together. So it's kind of like a weird little mind melt thing happening with these fragments. You've never in your life played Touhou? You've since found my channel and you've learned a fuck ton. Cool. Yeah, so the thing with this story in Touhou is that, for the most part, okay. I would be remiss if I said that you didn't need any Touhou knowledge whatsoever to understand the story, because you kind of do. You kind of need to understand a little bit of the lore. At the very least, you need to understand that, like, Touhou exists in a setting wherein, like, humans are special to the degree that human faith and human fear, like the collective unconscious, basically, or not the collective unconscious, but like the general consensus of humanity is kind of what determines whether or not yokai and fantasy or fantastical beings and what have you get to exist, more or less. But like some still get to run around in the outside world. Gensokyo is sort of like a nature reserve for yokai in the setting of Touhou. It's kind of like where all these monsters and creatures and beings of like Japanese folklore get to go to stay safe from, you know, basically possibly going extinct because they need faith or fear in order to survive and thrive. Thing is, they're not going to get much of that in the outside world because, like, a lot of the outside world's kind of, like, moved past that. Because the outside world in Touhou would be, like, our real world, more or less. How many chapters are there of this? There are currently 5. We're working on the 4th one now. The 5th one is still in the process of being written. So once we finish chapter 4, I'm not going to move on to chapter 5. I'm going to wait until chapter 5 is done. Anyway, so yeah, yokai need fear to subsist. Sometimes they don't. Most of the time they do. Gods need faith. Fairies are like embodiments of nature, so theoretically they can get by without either, because they'll always exist in some form or other. Or at least that's sort of the general idea, I think. But anyway, that's the big part of the Touhou lore you really need to understand in order to understand post-fantasy. Touhou is weird, okay? Like, there's trails, and then there's Nasuverse, which have what I would refer to as wide lore, which is the lore doesn't go super, super, super deep unless you start looking at, like, all the, at least in regards to trails, unless you start looking at, like, the real world mythological inspirations for, like, a lot of the things that are going on in trails. But, like, when it comes to, like, the world of Zemuria, the lore never goes, like, super, super deep, but there's a fuck ton of lore. Same for, like, the Nasuverse. Never gets super deep. It's always vague as fuck, but there's a lot of it. Whereas you have something, on the other hand, you have something like Elder Scrolls or Touhou, where the lore gets deep as fuck! Like, super crazy. This loud? No, this is... Yeah, that's gonna be super loud. This is my ASMR mode. Okay, that's cringe. That's fucking cringe. Let's not do that. Okay. Alright, we should be okay. We should be good. We should be fine. Okay, let's get to... Edition here. There we go. Let's go to Chapter 4. We're gonna do a little bit of Chapter 4, and then we're gonna do... some side story chapters, because there's some side story chapters that we haven't read yet that take place during, like, Chapter 3 and some other parts we read already, and also some that are kind of inconsequential to what we're about to read. And when I say inconsequential to what we're about to read, what I mean is, like, it's not gonna have, like, any spoilers or anything. Okay. Could be good to go if I just a little wider. Okay. Alright, Chapter 4. Let's go. At the rate we usually go, we're 1,000,000% not getting through chapter 4 in like less than 3 streams. It takes us like 2 hours, 2.5 hours on a good night to get through 50 pages. We're not getting through this whole thing in less than 5 streams. I just know it. It's 201 pages. Anyway. Your eyes open so fast it's a miracle, a sonic boom. That there isn't a sonic boom that follows the action. Cold sweat has your pajamas clinging to your skin. It feels sticky and sickly, like you've just woken up after an intense fever. You should be trying to collect your thoughts. Yes, that's what you should be doing right now, but instead all you can think of is your own breathing. It's fast. Too fast. Try to control your breathing, as your vision blurs and sways, though you make no movements from your bed. You recognize the sensation. It's been a long time since you last felt it. Remember it well. We're activating a skill. You're having a panic attack. Hyperventilating isn't usually the first sign of it, though. It usually occurs after you've already reached the edge mentally. Now, that's right. You did reach that edge during that conversation between the girl with the horns and Kyohi. Panic that swelled, but could not be expressed as you realized, somewhere in your mind, you're not in control of what should have been your body. It hadn't bothered you at first. In fact, you hadn't realized what was happening until the illusion was broken by the horned girl. Once that dream within a dream had ended, you felt that first inch of panic. That dawning horror that bubbled within your unconscious, yet thinking mind, as your body was not your own. As what you thought was your hand moved on its own, and as your mouth spoke in a voice more distinct from your own than the distance between the top of a mountain and the bottom of the ocean. As what you thought was your hand moved on its own, and as your mouth spoke, voice more distinct from your own. And okay, all right, fine. Oh, we start breakdancing for no reason apart from. Okay. That girl in Kyohi continued to speak, continued to try to move, communicate, say, "Help! I'm here still. Please listen." And despite what might have been the horned girl's mental attempts to despite what might have been the horned girl's mental attempts you could feel to placate you, they had little to stop the rushing, fearful thoughts that invaded every part of you. The only moment when the horned girl spoke to you was a light. But no, she did not speak to you. She listened to all the questions you had and plucked out the ones that were pushing through the hardest. At the back of your mind right now, you do understand that there was some sort of time limit on the conversation and the horned girl couldn't do much for you. But at the time, it felt like you were tossed a rope that seemed to be there to save you, but was instead just a net to catch the thoughts around you. And now that you're awake, those feelings have carried over without pause. Your desperate breathing in and out is an unconscious mechanism to reassure your brain that yes, you do once again have a body to call your own. But it's not enough. You still feel that void of being, the lack of permanence. Is that what it's like for fragments normally? Do they live in that state of only being thought and memories without a body to experience anything? Okay, we're triggering me core. Your breathing grows more intense as pound upon pound of guilty suddenly weigh onto your mind. You're ready to use the powers provided by the fragments, simply thinking they were nothing more than remnants of something you could use. Now, knowing that each one is in some way alive, trapped in that eternal hell, no way they can all be fine with that. They must also want to be freed, right? They don't deserve that. You have to help them too. Somehow you have to help them too. You can't let them go like that. Pulling you from your thoughts and panic, you feel a small hand tugging on the long sleeves of your pajamas. Big sis, I'm here, big sis. The small hand becomes two, transforms into a whole body as Igai hugs your frozen form. It seems that your panic attack managed to wake up Igai from her sleep. She's still in the clothes that she wore yesterday, though they've been a bit dirty with some spots on it that quite sure weren't there when she fell asleep last night. Actually, they may be teardrops. Slowly moving your head and upper body, still attempting to regain the sense of having both, you sit up with Igai, continuing to cling to you as you do so. Looking down at the small child who holds you as tightly as she can, you can't see her face as she's buried it into your side. Then you can still feel the wet tears that are coming from her face that are now in contact with you. As you take in the room, your breathing slows down. As you gaze around the room, bring the hand nearest to Igai to caress her. Focus on the sensation of the soft mat beneath you. Feel yourself slowly calming down. I mean, I don't know, maybe you have something, maybe you got like, you know, some music playing in the background or some other music playing along while you watch this, and like, you just felt like having an impromptu breakdance with your one hand. I don't know, man. I'm not here to judge. Mostly. As you gaze around the room, that you notice small spikes of darkness that surround where you sleep. They look sharp and dangerous, though none are too large, and they seem to be barely capable of keeping their shape. On hunch, you raise your free hand, and still slightly shaking, give a command to the darkness. Just as you thought might happen, spikes of darkness become smaller and smaller, until they merge back into the shadows that are in your room. The room that has only small rays of sunshine coming through the window and peeking through the thin sheets that make up the place. Looking back down at Igai, who's still crying into you, you feel another pound of guilt land on you. You must have scared her with the spikes. Maybe she was even trying to get you. Maybe she was even trying to get you to wait. Maybe she was even trying to get to you since you woke up. Just didn't notice her cries for help until now. Don't want to panic, crawl into yourself, and retreat from the harsh experience you just had, but you can't, can you? The answer is obvious, as you wipe away the tears that you've only just realized have been falling from your face. How you feel doesn't matter right now. What matters is how the person you've almost hurt now just feels. Just now feels. How well do I deal with dark themes like gore and angst? What do you mean? Like, how well do I write them? Recall what you can confidently say now. You can recall what you confidently say now is someone else's memory. See an older woman in blue and white kimono hugging a small, crying, white-haired girl who has a strange little white orb orbiting her. You know what the woman is saying, but you're sure that's not the important part. What's important is that she isn't letting go of the little girl. Gently brushing her hair as the girl cries into the kimono. And they stay together for a long time, doing nothing but comforting each other with their body. Phrasing. The words are meaningless. Because for a kid who's witnessed something she shouldn't have, that's not what they need. The memory is short and brief. Knowing what you know about fragments now, I can't help but wonder if this is one of the fragments attempting to help you. Maybe it is. It's not something you'd normally do. Heck, even when your parents were alive, you'd never even considered that you'd be in a situation like this. So, yes, you're thankful for the help. As the guy continues to huff and puff, all you do is take your free hand and embrace her further. The words that come out next are soft and weightless, and as you worry that speaking too strong might just blow away the child. But, though they're worthless to her right now, you still say them. I'm here too, Igai. I'm here too. You mean, how do I hold up while reading it? Do I like it or not? Really, it really kind of depends. It really kind of depends. I've, for the most part, like, I could play Doom with, like I could play Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, no problem. A lot of, like, video games that have that kind of stuff, no problem. Angst is, like, angst. Edgy shit is, like, edgy shit. At the same time, I've seen, like, Guro shit that's, like, stuck with me before. So, like, I don't know. It kind of really, it kind of depends. For the most part, though, it doesn't really bother me that much now. I mean, angst is just a character meme, but, like, gore is kind of different from that. How long the two of you stay like that, you'll never know. It's hard to deny that it's important for the two of you. Yes, you may have put fear into Igai that you wish was never there, but you'll indescribably relieved. I think it's supposed to be your. But you're indescribably relieved that she's here with you right now. Oh man, Tomo was right. She is going to be the emo pillar. When the stuttered breathing of both of you finally ends, both undoubtedly a mess. Hair wild from waking, Tears and snot staining both your clothes, eyes red from the tears that left them. Can't help but actually giggle at the situation. For the first time since she barged into your personal space this morning, Youkai looks up at you with confusion clear on her face. But seeing and not just imagining Igai's messed up face just makes you straight up start laughing. Her face is flushed red and her short gray hair is so smothered that it almost looks like she has a bowl cut. Let's get the musical spoilers. I'll turn this down a tiny bit because I think I turned the volume up on OBS since like more recently. Yeah, you want to explain to Igai why this is so funny, but you just go into a giggling fit as her face twists more and more in confusion. And yeah, you're somewhat laughing on instinct to try and lighten the mood, but it's also quite truly get genuine. Sorry, Igai. I just... it's just funny you're the one calming me down. As soon as you finish explaining, you give up trying to hold your giggle and just lets them out completely as you let go of Igai and fall backwards back into the mat. Igai is far too young to appreciate the irony of the situation though, and she looks at you blankly as she wipes her face with her sleeves. It's a shame that both of your clothes are totally going to need a good wash. But you can't deny that there's something cute about Igai looking so innocently at you. Especially after you heard what her journey to the shrine was like. Seeing her looking like, well, a kid, makes you happy. Letting out a final huff, you try to spring out of bed, but end up falling to the floor. You can hear Igai give a small sound in surprise at your sudden movement and failure to land. You somehow forgot that you're still barely able to feel your limbs after the encounter with Kyohi. You can hear Igai rummaging in the sheets as she must be scrambling to come to your aid. I'm fine, Igai. I'm fine. Just, moved a bit too fast. You say, trying to reassure Igai as you shakily lift yourself off the floor. Turning to face Igai with a smile on your face that hopefully looks reassuring. As you almost manage to stand straight up, your knees buckle, and you fall to the floor once again. This time facing Igai as you see her jump. Unsuccessfully. Successfully! Unlike you. Out of bed, and rush to your side. Big sis, I want to help, so let me. Oh god, it's adorable, but absolutely sad when you see Igai try to lift you up by pulling your arm. She's barely able to get you even a foot higher, even with you trying to get yourself up at the same time. Igai, I think it'd be best if you go techie over. What? Oh wait, this is supposed to be say, go bring techie over. Can you do that? You try to ask kindly the other kid who's still trying to lift you off the floor. Guy moves back and forth on the spot in distress. But I want to help Big Sis. Dang, that's really the sort of childish thing you'll have to teach her about. The one you gotta try helping out in a battle or something in the future, and instead of getting someone else to help. You'll help out a whole lot by getting techie though. So, please, Igai? You plead with the kid. In the back of your mind, you're feeling a bit thankful that Aho isn't living in the shrine and that Tomo is left. You'd definitely feel embarrassed if they saw you like this. Flashes of doubt, concern, and worry go through Igai for a split second before she resolutely nods her head and leaves the room. I almost want to berate her for not closing the door as she leaves, but feel more than a bit foolish when you think that, because this is really not the time to be worried about that. So, now you're laying on the floor, alone, finally able to think more concretely about everything that happened last night. Yeah, that was a lot. The conversation you had with Kyohi before you were shoved back in... The conversation you had with Kyohi before you were shoved to the back in terms of control was concerning. I was putting it lightly, though. As you've been thinking that Kyohi was going to be fully on board with whatever your plans were as long as they pushed fantasy forward. So, to learn that she's upset that you want to stop the horrible cycle of fantasy and truth and even things you've been wasting your time is painful. You'd like to think that you don't trust others easily, but that's not exactly true. You've been quickly these past few days to create bonds with those who you've met and have been justifying it in your mind as being for the pursuit of your goal. But that the truth behind that was more or less revealed when you saved Igai's life. If you could save someone, you want to save them. And deep down, you know that going solely from the reason the people you've met exist. I got tripped up by these... Here. Fantasy that if you want... Okay. Deep down, you know that going solely from the reason that people you've met exist. Fantasy. That if you want to save them, you make connections with them. But you let Teki live on the shrine grounds. You let Tomo stay for the time she did. Instead of sending her back when she wasn't immediately needed. And being told that everything was pointless, that you've done so far... Okay, this is weird phrasing. And being told that everything you've done so far was pointless was frustrating. Because you haven't known what to do. You've been trying your best, and your efforts have just been pushed aside for not aligning with some sort of plan that Kyohi wants to follow. You scoff at that. Yeah. Maybe you would have followed that plan if you knew what it was. But it seems like she... But she seems to have decided that you're a waste of time. That the best way to get you, do what she wants, to mentally break you. At the very least, it seems that some of the fragments are on your side, though. Though, it feels almost like it didn't happen. You can clearly remember that the Horned Girl... You can clearly remember the Horned Girl being well aware of who you are and what was going on. And that she agreed for you. Remembering that brings a bit of warmth to your heart. Reassurance from someone who sacrificed some part of themselves to reestablish fantasy agrees with your goal of overturning the cruel world. If you're going by... And if you were to go by the fragments that attacked and circled around in support of the Horned Girl, a lot of them do agree with you. But you don't know much about what this original plan was. You know what it would accomplish one thing at least. Deserve the place to call our own. We will have it back, one way or another. You want a home again. And such a thing really incompatible with what you want? Yes. The answer surprises you. You can get up. Would have sent you flying. Upwards at Mach speeds. Voice is quick and short, but filled with an undeterminable amount of hate. The same hate you felt last night. Kyohi, you call out, trying to figure out how long she's been listening in on your thoughts. You're denied that opportunity. Instead, you hear the sound of a voice growing louder and louder as it comes down the corridor from outside your room. Miko! It reaches a climax-like volume. Teki barrels past your door flying and skids in the air as she tries to stop. It doesn't take the very long before she's by your side with the distinct sound of pages being flipped heard again. How are you? Where are you hurt? Are you in pain? Are you able to stand? Can you see how many fingers I have? Did you kiss a ghost recently? Did a house sneak into your room? Did you use protection? Teki speaks as rapidly as she moves, having started with what you presume usual questions she found to ask in her notebook. But as they move on, they go to rather raunchy territory that makes you blush and very much hope Igai isn't nearby. Teki! But you don't have scratches, and that's apparently normal, so it must have been Tomo, right? Teki! And you're still able to speak, and the floor isn't broken, so Teki! A final call seems to pull Teki out from her unorthodox thoughts. She looks at you in surprise. I just had a really bad nightmare. You hesitantly tell. By now, Teki's lifting you up from your bed, and it started to get you down on your feet. Nothing like what you were saying. Can you please just help me up for now? It's a good few seconds of Teki scanning your body over before she responds. During that time, you feel slightly worried that she may take things too far, be able to see through your rather poor lie. Wait, where's the lie? I mean, it's technically true. Instead, Teki shakes her head once, puts a wide smile on her face. Okay, if it's that bad, I'll make breakfast this morning. Without a relieved sigh at Teki's offer. She's done well with tea, and with how closely she follows that notebook of hers, you're sure she'll be able to at least cook decently. Thanks, Teki. I really appreciate that. Ah! Teki! You cry out in surprise, because instead of simply helping you stand up, Teki's picked you up like a bride. Don't worry, Miko. I'll take care of everything. Oh god, she's so close. She's smiling so genuinely. Along with the horrible things she said before, no one should blame you for blushing and turning away from the possibly perverted fairy. You're banging your head against the wall? It doesn't sound like a good idea, but you've already lost a hand tonight. You don't need to lose your head as well. It's not a good way to get ahead in life. Keep doing that, you'll never be the head of a major corporation. It's more than a little surprising to you. Teki takes you to the main room, and inside you see both Igai and Aho sitting down together. Youkai is looking away from Aho, but is giving occasional glances her way. When Aho notices, Youkai turns away and tries to pretend she wasn't staring. Yes, it's at least a bit cute, if annoying, to see Youkai interact like this. But you did tell her it was rude to stare at people. Even someone like Teki or Aho. Okay, so this is something that's gonna come up a lot, and it bothers me. And looking back on it, like, even though Bob gave me like an explanation for it, it still bothers me. And that's that, I might have mentioned this already before, but occasionally we're told about interactions that happen, but that we never actually saw take place. Which, if there was like a period of time that passed in between chapters, I'd be able to accept that. Like, if each chapter was like some big event that happened like every week instead of like following Miko's life every day, I'd be able to buy that. But for this one in particular, with like Youkai not staring at people, I'm willing to kind of suspend disbelief and say, like, okay, maybe when Miko was teaching her like general things on the way to the shopping trip, like maybe that might have been one of the things she told her about. But there's going to be other things that come up that are like more glaring than that. But anyway, moving on. Oh, you're tired? That sounds rough. Sorry. Week by week would probably be better. You're still sick and probably gonna say stupid stuff and be really easily influenced. Oh no. Then like respond, but don't think about it. Like when you feel better, like stay if you want. Like do what you want now. But like when you're feeling better, like listen back to the VOD and see if you still agree with what I'm saying. Because like you might, when you're feeling more okay in the head, you might not agree with what I'm saying as much. Or maybe you might have better reasons for whatever, right? Sadly entered the room still being bridal carried by Teki. The reaction from one of the two people present is about as easy to predict as to know that you'd end up blushing harder. So that's why you can't move this morning, huh? Went a bit too hard last night, girlie? Aho's hearty laughter and sly grin makes you feel even more embarrassed than how you felt from Teki's questioning. Teki, at least, likely asked those genuinely without any malice, but Aho is milking the situation for all it's worth. Hell, you've already got one kid. Didn't know you already wanted another. Ah! Stop talking about that kind of thing, at least. Aho, did you forget who's around? Any more fitting tracks. Fine. Oh, did you forget who's around? Please stop talking about such horrid things while Youkai present, at least. What? I ain't saying anything she'd get. That's not the problem! You blurt out, annoyed that Aho won't be stopping her bothersome banter. Teki, please let me down. You turn your neck towards the young woman, bringing your faces uncomfortably close. For her part, Teki doesn't even look slightly affected by a single thing said right now. But you're barely able to lift your arms. Teki noticed that? You've been trying to get out of Teki's grasp since she started carrying you, but have had no luck in even lifting your arms above your head. I'll be fine. Look, Aho's here, and I'm sure she'll help. If you're getting dogged on by Aho, you may as well try to get her roped into helping. Oh, you do that, Aho? Teki isn't entirely removed from reality, though, as she defers to you, knowing Aho better than she does. And thankfully, or at least right about the influence Teki has on others, Aho actually seems to look surprised and uncomfortable being asked by Teki. That only lasts for long enough for you to barely notice, though. Aho resumes her aura of bravado, gives a cheeky wipe under her nose, and she resumes smiling. Yeah, of course. Taking care of our ex-maiden won't even register as happening to me. Great. Managed to get her help, but she still managed to throw a barb at you at the same time. Poignantly, Teki doesn't say anything about her ex-maiden statement, and she sets you down and heads off to the kitchen. And she set up some extra pillows around for you to lean back on before she left. Once put down, you try to move your legs to a more comfortable position than they are, but only manage to lay them down straight instead of anything else. It seems that while you were in the room, someone made some tea and set it out on the table. The smell wafting towards you is surprisingly sweet. and you realize whoever made it must have added extra sugar to the mix before serving it. Your blush hasn't completely dissipated. When you attempt to pick up the cup nearest to you, you end up nearly spilling it. But thankfully, Aho catches it before it hits the table. Damn. Why'd you feel that badly lifting a cup is weird after that fancy dance you did yesterday? Not even the weirdest night of fun will leave you like this. Despite Aho's teasing at the end, you don't miss the confusion that comes through both her words and voice. Look, nothing like that happened last night. You guy was sleeping in my room for goodness sake, you exclaim, trying to at least get Aho to stop the teasing. Kinky. And with such a miserable failure to stop at the first try, it's likely not worth continuing the effort. Especially if you guys can ask about such unwanted words later. God. Okay. Okay. You say, refusing to let yourself be riled up by Aho. Fine. I didn't expect to see you here this morning. Sorry, big sis. Surprisingly, it's Iga who speaks. I didn't know where the shed is, and I ran into Miss Dragon. It looks like Iga still has more to say, but Aho interrupts and speaks with a dismissive tone. The kid looked real confused. Just thought I ought to help her. Really was interested in what she said, too. Aho leaning forward and showing her teeth as she smiles as a stone of worry drop into your gut. You told me that Big Sis did something. She's really wet and sweaty and can't move. Yep. Gut was totally right. As you feel yourself dying a bit inside, now understanding why Teki would ask the question she did. Probably need a few more commas in here somewhere. Oh god, Iga, don't. Fuck off! Fuck off! Don't make me say that! Damn, that was a visceral reaction. That was like if I had to read like fucking one of Red's lines in Neptunia. Holy shit. It's hard to imagine that she could have worded that any worse than she did. Not that you blame a kid for putting it like that, but it's hard not to lightly flare up again when hearing that. Oh. Because, yeah. That's all there is to say about that. Wait, no. There's more, actually. Since, when you look at Igai, she seems really worried. Don't worry, Igai. You did the right thing. Sadly, you can't put on a good smile when reassuring the kid, but thanks to her ability, she probably understands that you're being honest. Okay, where were we? That seems to do well enough, as the guy looks to become brighter as she continues to look at you. Feeling relieved and believing she must have done a good job, Iga adds another spoonful of sugar to her tea, takes a nice long sip. Internally, you die inside seeing the tea being ruined like that, but you won't say a thing to ruin that wonderful smile. Groan. The sounds and smells of a kitchen at work has your stomach audibly groan in anticipation. Blush at the noise as it draws the attention of everyone present. Naho, for her part, is taking her words seriously to help you, though. Which you're rapidly regretting. Come on, Miko, take a sip already. Totally running on empty. The dragon is reaching across the table, pushing your cup of tea in your face. Look, I'm fine. I can't wait. You don't have to do I can't wait. I think maybe she meant to say she can wait. But look, I'm fine. I can wait. You don't have to do this. You are desperately exclaim, denying the lovely smell that comes from the cup. Don't be so stubborn. Oh, the irony. Drink if you want to drink. I ain't gonna hold you down and make you, though. The cup is nearly touching your mouth at this point. Groan. The room once again enters a pause of awkward silence as your stomach makes your true thoughts known again. Without a word. Open your mouth. Aho moves close to you to be better positioned as she slowly pours the tea into your mouth. The sweet taste is a mite too strong for you, but the taste is wonderful, even if the experience is immensely horrid. Thanks, you say as Aho pulls the cup away. Yeah. Aho quietly mutters out. Seems you're not the only one not enjoying this experience. Takes a few more awkward tea sips before Teki comes out of the kitchen with a surprisingly luscious meal. By the time the meal arrives, you manage to gain enough strength back to put your arms on the table and easily move your legs around on the ground as you want. Wait, she's not on the ground though, she's on the floor. I have to find out after the meal if you can walk. I'm sorry if it's not good, but I had to find a recipe that would make the food light enough for you to eat on your own, Miko. Teki says, sounding really disappointed in what she's done. You feel incredulous at her words, seeing as Igai's already eating, having been unable to hold back once she saw the food. Igai, you need to wait for everyone before you start eating. You lightly reprimand the girl, and she slowly stops eating the food, putting it back on the table. And thank you, Teki. It looks amazing, and thanks for considering that. It's a really nice thing for Teki to have done for you. And to do something like that while still making food that looks this good is incredible. You hope you're communicating well enough to the fairy that you really are happy with what she's done. Now let's begin, everyone. Eat a dakimasu. Everyone goes right into the food after that. You eat. Look, it's weeb, okay? But, like, the work technically takes place in Japan, okay? Like, kind of, like, not even kind of, it just straight up does, okay? You need to have the memes. Everyone goes right into the food after that. You eat much more slowly than everyone else due to still being barely able to feel your limbs. But once you take a bite, you definitely try to eat faster, as the food is really amazing. It felt as if Teki has literally managed to make a meal that is the essence of light and fluffy. It's almost like you're eating clouds and marshmallows, and when they go down, it's almost impossible to feel. Even by the time you finish the meal, you feel like you've eaten almost anything, but nonetheless feel completely full. Japan is not Europe. I mean, true. As everyone finished eating, you, wobbling the entire time, stand up. Aho and Teki move towards you to help you stay up. But you signal to them that it's not needed. Well, hopefully it isn't, at least. As you look at Aho sitting back down with a knee to her chest, Igai looking around at everyone, and Teki writing down something in her notebook, think on what you'll be doing this morning. What? Oh! Okay, this is my vote. Okay, so I said this before, but it bears repeating. Post Fantasy is an interactive fanfic, meaning that every so often, every time Bob posts a new part, sometimes at the end there will be a choice for the readers to pick, and depending on how many readers there are at the time and what gets picked, whichever gets the most votes is the one that wins. If there's a tie, there's like a coin flip for a tiebreaker. This looks like it is one such choice that came up. The actual choice is not present, but the my vote is present for some reason. I know this is my vote because I use the fucking meme arrows to make my selections when I type in my comments in the replies. Get some rest, Miko. What happened last night that ended up with you being really wet and sweaty and struggling to move your limbs sometimes? Get some rest. Oh, wait. No, I think this was somebody else's vote. I think this was Gray Slime's vote. I thought that was actual story text. Fuck. We'll spend this morning taking your time. Besides the mental damage you feel like you took last night, physically, you're still not up to snuff. Heck, even as you try to lift up your cup of tea again to take another sip, you find yourself shaking like crazy. But you'll definitely be fine on your own. The grip you're trying to keep on the cup finally fails and begins to fall, or Aho quickly moves and catches it without spilling a drop. Aho's tea not even drop. Hey. Aho's voice rings out as she takes the cup and raises it to your mouth. We're gonna try doing anything. We're gonna try doing about anything after waking up weaker than a newborn babe. Aho's one-eyed glance and frown make you feel almost like a child. It probably doesn't help that you do puff out your cheeks in frustration at her comment. Look, I'll be fine, really. Come on, Aho. Don't look at me like an unruly kid, and definitely don't give an audible sigh. I'm already thinking about resting, and I don't need your help for that. See, this part had accidental first-person narration, but it worked! It worked better. Fish is fish is not chicken. I mean, also technically true, but they're also still invertebrates, so they're still basically the same thing, okay? Or they're... Wait. I just made myself sound incredibly retarded, because I think I said they're both invertebrates. I meant the opposite of that. Fuck! Oh. Aho says, grinning. You shiver in fear. It's already become a part of your mind to think of bad things when you see your grin. The cup she was holding out for you is now close to her chest. Standing up, she speaks again. And how about you get this cup from me? I won't even move. Her voice is filled with the splendor of superiority. Yes. Yes. She's a dragon. But it's still no easier not to feel at least a little upset by how she speaks to you. It tastes like chicken, but only if you cook them right. I thought people tasted like pig. I thought people tasted like pork, and that's why you called it long pig. Fine. Wah! While you're speaking, you attempt to stand up, only to find yourself still unsure where your legs are without looking at them. Trying to catch yourself and not fall on your face once again. You end up setting your chest and arms on the table. Though you can't see your backside, you know for a fact that you're sticking your butt out in a way that really, really doesn't help after the worst conversation you ever had earlier. Don't say a thing, Aho. You don't care how bad this looks. But Aho, you refuse to let Aho think she can say a thing. Your voice contemplating behind you. Doesn't look like you did anything last night, but I don't have any record of seeing people do it in my notebook, so maybe? Ah, yes. Of course it'd be techie. Innocence is a sin, as it turns out. Techie? Yes, Miko? Please stop talking about my... Oh god, it's too embarrassing to say anything, and you prefer to be back fighting Tomo than be here right now. Also, then. Stop talking about my mystical posterior, fantastical proportions. Aho. Aho, why? Just... why? Aho! You growl that name out as you try lifting yourself up again to bat Aho in a move of frustration, only to fall yet again on your face. This time landing right before Aho's feet. Honestly, you don't need to see her face at this point. You can basically hear the grin that Aho has. So. Sure you can even go about resting, ex-maiden? Manage to look up at the smug Aho as she speaks, removing the teeth to taunt you about your inability to act. The guy doesn't speak a word, but she does tilt her head, likely think about the strange conversation you three are having. I hope she never asks you anything about this. Actually, pulling upon your connection to the Yin Yang Orb, to access your newest fragment. What you're about to do is probably not the intended use of it by the Horn Girl, but it's a great opportunity to use it. We're triggering a skill. What's wrong? You're not gonna admit you need. Aho attempted to taunt you stopped midway as she suddenly flipped. As 1 second she was standing on the floor, and the next her entire body and everything she is holding feels the opposite effect of gravity. They quickly float to be up against the uneven ceiling. For the first time since you've interacted with Aho, you can see something approaching fear as she looks around from her new position on the ceiling. Doesn't feel too good to be messed with, huh? You let us laugh at the changing of the position for you two. Where before Aho was standing well above you. Well, more than usual, due to your weakened body. Now, she's also experiencing what seems to be a severe distortion of perspective. She clumsily attempts to stand up. What the hell, Miko? She angrily yells, having quickly recovered from the surprise of the flip. I ain't even touched it, this ain't the same! Even as she glows slightly brighter, you don't feel much fear. Guess having your body or spirit or whatever taken over for a bit, it puts things in a different... Why can't I fucking read? Guess having your body or spirit or whatever taken over for a bit puts things in a different perspective for you. Yeah. Instead of feeling much fear at the angry look I was sending you, instead you feel a bit happy at getting one over on someone who's so much stronger than you. Huh. That's probably part of the reason why the Horn Girl did what she did in the past, you guess. It's certainly a nice feeling. Big sis? Ignoring the continued vocalizations of Aho about how screwed you were once she got down, crane you head, still on the floor, to Igai. Can you please let Miss Dragon down? I don't think she meant to be mean to you. Two thoughts strike you at the same time hearing Igai's words. Firstly, the hesitance in her speaking reminds you of when you woke up and the fear she had on her from your darkness manipulation that you unconsciously activated earlier. Seeing you use the fragment ability again is probably scaring her. And secondly, it's the fact that Igai is the one standing up for Aho's behavior. Coming from any other kid, you'd think she was just trying to stop an argument between adults by being generous with their interpretation of Aho's words. But since Igai can see how people are really feeling, then it's likely true. Yeah, Igai, I'll do that. Though you mean what you say, they come out sounding somewhat insincere. Really, you're only stuttering and speaking so quietly because the thought of that Aho could behave so horribly and not purposely be trying to upset you is odd, to say the least. Not paying a lot of attention to your surroundings, you're surprised when you feel a hot hand grab you by the collar. The first time this morning, you're standing up straight, but not thanks to your own strength, as Aho is the one who's lifting you up. Her face is only a few inches away from your own. You can feel the heat radiating from her as she stares at you looking extremely annoyed. What the hell was that? She yells. I go out of my way to help you this morning and you decided it'd be best to use one of those stupid fragments on me just for having a bit of fun? The hell's wrong with you, Miko? Knowing that Aho likely really didn't mean to upset you, you are at a loss of words of what to say to that. Because, yeah, Aho's only been spoken some words. And even though they were horrid words, they weren't meant to hold any malice. Your own actions are too much. Being the first one to resort to physical conflict doesn't exactly make you the good guy here. I'm taking a regular drink. I'm not going to do my Iku voice. It's fine. I'm not dying tonight. I'm not going to drown on land. Aho! You can see from the corner of your eye Iteki standing up, flying a few inches above the ground as she speaks. You shouldn't have made fun of Miko for something you both did last night. Her not wanting to talk so casually about it like that makes her totally in the right. Ah, you were hoping that Teki was going to say something smart and good to solve this little dilemma. Instead, she still doesn't quite properly understand what happened last night and says something completely wrong and absolutely not true. The heat that was coming from Aho suddenly gets more intense, and you do worry for a second that Aho might be more upset, but instead... Right. I need to get my place again. Something gets pretend. You do worry for a second that Aho might be more upset, but instead... Teki, you really think... Aho's blushing? And stuttering like a schoolgirl? Wait, what? Aho doesn't let go of you, but she does relax her grip and put some distance between your faces. You should know Fine! Having given up on explaining, well, explaining something, Aho lets out her final word of frustration, letting go of you suddenly, and you, naturally, falling to the floor again. Fine, Tech. I'm sorry for making fun of the maiden. Also, not a thing happened last night between us. Why were we just having a bit of fun? Aho throws her hands up in the air. Hell, I was just trying to join in. You're such a bore these days. Aho's sentence finished itself as a grumble, and she dejectedly puts her hands in her coat pockets. Remember in the first chapter of Dragon Ache Awakening, one of the characters has an Australian accent for their first line? After that line, it never returns. It's that early. What does TV tropes refer to the meme as? Excuse me. They call the meme early installment weirdness or something like that, where it's like something that happened like early in the story that like doesn't happen ever again because the writers kind of found their feet after that. Aho's sentence finished itself as a grumble and she dejectedly puts her hands in her coat pockets. Well, his voice has already lost all the anger that was present that was present only moments before. If you're really sorry, you'll definitely keep helping Miko this morning, right? Oof. You're glad you're not the one being talked to right now, because there is zero doubt in your mind that if Teki was asking Yor to do something with those same pure eyes and smile, you'd cave instantly. It's pronounced Dragon Ash. Oh, okay. I thought it was... See, the way it looked, I was like, oh, Dragon Ache. I said, your dragon aches. Like a stomach ache or a headache. Okay, I gotcha. I'll try to keep a mental note of that then. Where were we? Okay. And to Touhou's credit, she doesn't give in right away. Yeah, she lasts a good 2 or 3 seconds. Yeah, sure. I ain't interested in seeing our maiden die from tripping anyhow. I was definitely trying to make it seem like she's doing this reluctantly. And she probably is after your little reversal stunt. Really hoping that she won't hold that against you this morning. Perhaps Teki is just ignoring the obvious disdain that Touhou has agreeing to such a thing, but she more likely just hasn't noticed. Great! I'll make sure to take care of Youkai this morning! Huh? The persistent sounds of moving that was coming from Youkai's direction this entire time suddenly stops entirely at Teki's declaration. When you think about how energetic Teki is, and how shy Youkai is, you don't need to imagine why Youkai might be frozen right now. Hey, Teki, I don't... You try to voice your opinion, or at least get Teki to be aware of how Youkai's likely feeling right now, but it's too late. Or you can even really start your sentence. Teki's excitedly moved towards Youkai and swept her up in her arms. Wah! Youkai cries out. I hope you two get along well again, and I'll make sure Youkai has lots of fun! Teki says, her voice becoming more and more distant as she leaves and retreats further outside. The sounds of Youkai struggling in vain take longer to disappear. It's quiet in the shrine for a bit. You on the floor, still staring at the door where the two had left through, still open, and Touhou above you, staying perfectly silent. Well, she's not silent for long, but it's a thought that counts. Did Teki just kidnap your kid? I think so. Some names are pronounced weirdly in the fanfic. If I have any questions while reading, let you know. Okay. Hey. Touhou peeks her head out of the kitchen at your call. After the, kidnapping, Touhou just sighed and picked you up and placed you back on your pillow throne. Afterwards, she picked up the teapot and headed back into the kitchen. Yo, what's up? And Touhou, for her part, seems to already be quite calm after that dangerous outburst she had when you used the fragment on her. Is it really going to be okay, you think, letting Teki be alone with Youkai? You don't bother trying to hide your concern. It's not like you're worried about Teki hurting or doing anything bad with Youkai, though. More so, you just don't want Youkai to be afraid or worried, or, well, feeling anything negative from the experience, really. Also, she left still wearing her tear and snot-covered shirt. That's just unsanitary. Which is why you've taken off your own top, leaving just the sarashi wrapped around your chest to keep your dignity. You'd asked Touhou to get you one of your shirts from your room, but she did bring up a good reason that, with how you're still too weak to have drinks around, it'd be best to avoid the possibility you spill tea on your clothes over and over again. Which sucked to ruin loads of your shirts. Okay, I remember pointing this out when I first read this, but this is actually okay, wouldn't it be worse if, she spilled hot tea, on her bare skin, though? Yeah, I know if you spill something scalding hot on clothes, if you don't take the clothes off right away, the burn is, fucking worse. Because the burning stuff is sticking around the skin for longer. Well, wouldn't it be, as bad, if not... Wouldn't it be, as bad if, it's just bare-ass skin? Doesn't Miko have towels? I should have added that to my world-building questions doc. You're at 100? Holy shit. What are you What are you doing wrong? I don't know what you're doing wrong. I don't know if he did that intentionally. Probably not. If he's on a touchscreen, I think he might have meant to type, "What did I do wrong?" And maybe he hit the M instead of the space. I was pointing out, like, Miko's not wearing anything. She's not wearing a top. She's just wearing, like, underwear while drinking hot tea. And I was like, wait, well, wouldn't that be, like, just as bad if, like, she were to spill it on herself then? Because, like, she'd be spilling it on her bare skin at that point. Oh, I forgot you added this line later. After I pointed that out, that you do keep to yourself that it'd be much more painful to spill hot tea on yourself rather than your clothes. I forgot this line was right here, because I forgot you added this after I pointed that out the first time I read this. Fuck. Now I am the idiot. Never mind. Turns out I can't read. If you're familiar with my streams, that shouldn't be a shock. Okay, the what MDI is him mistyping what did. It's supposed to be what space did, but he mistyped it presumably because he's on a mobile device. The M on a mobile device I think would be like closer to space, the space bar, or like closer to like the middle of the space bar, or depending on when and how he hit it. It's not close at all, but like... That's more plausible as a mobile typo than it is as like a regular typo. And he didn't say it before because he's got like, because he's like sick, he's like laying in bed, so he's probably on mobile if he's like watching. Where were we? Ah, here we go. Definitely. Text everyone to hurt people. And I doubt any memory problems are going to cause her to do a thing. Oh, really sound sure of that. Which is... Oh, right. You said you knew Techie before, didn't you? It's still difficult to move your body, but... But you're doing some simple movements to try and regain proper control of them. Them? Oh, arms. Wait. Did my brain just insert the word arms? It's still difficult to move your body, but wrong you're doing some simple movements to try to regain proper control of them. Okay, no, yeah, that should be it. But instead of just moving your neck, you're also moving your chest when you dress Touhou. Touhou retreats from sight once again. But she doesn't stop speaking. Yep. You knew that very decently well before the whole crazy thing happened. Just to clarify, you interrupt. But by this crazy thing, talking about the fall of fantasy, right? It's likely not something you have to ask, but it feels best to make sure the two of you are on the same page. Yeah, Bo. Weirdest stuff that's happened here since I've been alive. Man, I've been alive longer than your family line has. I want to ask more, but I stop at the lovely sound of a teapot whistling. So instead of speaking, you collect your thoughts as Aho brings the tea out. Smiling the same sweet sentiment as before. Realize the obvious answer to who made this tea this morning. Huh. So you made the tea this morning. You ask to confirm Aho as she helps bring the cup up to your lip. Take a short sip. It's really good stuff, though I do prefer having it without any sugar. Made it with the kid in mind. Thought you two share a taste somewhat. You don't voice it, but you truly think that she would have been right a few years back. was only after things got really bad in life that you started to appreciate the natural bitter taste of tea more than the artificial sweetness. Nope, you say as Aho sits back down next to you. This time having her legs crisscrossed. I just suggested that yesterday because you guys clearly didn't like how bitter the taste was. Take another sip, enjoying the warmth that spreads through your body, taking it as a reminder that you're in the here and now. And sorry about using the fragment on you like that before. I did take it too far. Having let you guys' words seep deeper into your mind, quickly growing to hate what you did more and more. Because I was really done nothing that bad, and she was right with what she said before. You guy probably didn't understand the conversation at all, and by the time she does understand what was being said, she'll be mature enough to be okay. Look, Nao's expression goes serious. I'll be accepting your words, but I ain't blameless either. Becky totally got the whole situation wrong, but I didn't mean really piss you off like that. I thought you could take a good jab or two. Well, the words are as crude as ever. It was definitely an apology. Yeah, it's supposed to be a while. Well, the words are as crude as ever. That was definitely an apology coming from the dragon, which is surprising. You didn't think someone so clearly prideful as her would apologize. Oh, well, yeah. You're really not sure what to say at that. Makes you really wish you had you guys' ability so you could actually understand how I was feeling right now. Do just stay quiet for the next few minutes. It's not awkward, per se, but instead, you two are in an unsteady understanding of each other. That I didn't mean to truly upset you and that you took things in a bad direction. That, right now, you know how's help. Well, that's also supposed to be a while. While you're recovering, and I always promised Teki that you'd do just that. You still haven't explained how you know Teki, really. Yep. Thinking about it, you've got to keep that conversation going once the tea came out. Like, you've mentioned that you met in the land of fantasy, but haven't really gone into detail. Okay, she's still calling it the land of fantasy, but she knows it's called Gensokyo. This is where we lost the word. This is where we lost Gensokyo. Because she knows it's called Gensokyo. It's not some Zen speak word, so it's not like some word that like hurts her brain to think or hear. Try and say that quickly, but very quick. Okay, try and say that quickly, but very quick. There you go. Oh wait, no, I fucked up. Oh wait, hang on. Try and say that correctly, but very quick. That correctly. There you go. There you go. Now I got it right that time. Where the fuck was I? And the way Aho acts towards Teki is clearly different from how she behaves towards you or Tomo, and so it's clear that they've got some kind of unique connection to each other. Aho waves her free hand dismissively. What is there really to say? Popped off to visit Gensokyo and I met the weirdo of a fairy about when I arrived. We spoke and traveled for a while before parting. This is the first time I met her since then. While I was speaking extremely casually... Yeah, while I was speaking extremely casually of the entire experience she's had with Teki, you definitely think she's hiding something from you. Is that really it? You voice your doubt over the simplicity of the two's relationship. There's no way the always in control Aho would blush like that if Teki was simply a person she met for a bit. Sigh. Sure you want to hear about it? I swear it's not interesting or nothing. Aho's eyes are closed, and she's looking exhausted at the thought of speaking about Teki. Okay. Core is getting triggered again. You only scoff aloud at the played up voice and movements. Core clearly doesn't want to talk about this. But you know, it could easily be because it's embarrassing as it is legitimately painful to talk about. Come on, it's Teki. I haven't known her long, and I can already tell there's no way it could be boring. You push forwards, undeterred. Aho's posture, where she has her hand on her head. You push forwards, undeterred. Aho's posture, where probably meant to be like a period here. Aho's posture where she has a hand on her head as if to suppress a headache. That's just reads really weird. I don't know if I would call that a sentence. Okay, I should also note, for anybody watching the VOD now, I want to stress one thing, okay? I'll trip up a lot, and I'll get stuck on, like, weird little grammar things and weird little, like, misspellings and things like that. And those are the kind of things that generally tend to get me to drop a story, really, honestly. If I see somebody write something, I'll tend to, like, if I see too many errors in regards to, like, sentence structure or spelling or grammar, and, like, I don't have any reason to think that person is ESL, I will just completely disregard what they have written. If it's, like, some kind of, like, YouTube comment, I'll just, like, scroll past it. Or if it's, like, some, like, short story somebody posts, I'll just fucking give up on it because that shit's way too fucking distracting for me. So in my opinion, the fact that, like, these drawings you see popping up on the right side of the screen are drawings I've done of characters from this story, I personally think that speaks volumes of the actual narrative content and the way the characters are written. The fact that I can, like, look past something that would usually make me drop something, I think kind of speaks volumes about the content. I want to stress that point all the time. Sentence construction is the man. Don't let it hold it down. Bruh. I should crush this. It's an empty bottle. Crush it. Don't let it stay puffed. Okay, so I think we're going to try and get as far as we can within the next hour, and then spend, like, the last half hour doing side story chapters. Or doing a couple side story chapters. It really depends on the length. I might need Bob Bob's help with that, but he's not feeling very well, so he might not be able to provide, so I'll have to try and remember what some of the side story chapters are about on my own. But we'll see when we get to it. Anyway. Well, I always speak slowly. If you're that persistent, I'll tell you. Give a resolute nod. Well, get relaxed then. This ain't gonna be short. Putting the teacup down on the table, Aho waves her hands about, and you nearly fall out of your throne at what you see. For the sleeves on the raincoat Aho wears suddenly dissolve into fire, exposing her bare arms. The fire moves to be above the table. The more times I say the things that make me drop a fic, makes you progressively more and more nervous. It's actually, you know what, you said that right, because, like, when you said fic, that could technically holy god, that could technically mean any piece of fiction, not like just fan fiction, right? So, like, yeah, okay, yeah, kind of fits what, yeah, because, like, dude, I will admit it, okay, like, I am, like, when it comes to, like, spelling and grammar and word use, I am, like, a super fucking autistic grammar Nazi, like, 100%. So, like, that shit is, like, really distracting to me, to the point where, like, when I write shit, like, I'll reread it, like, 4 fucking times to make sure I can, like, zap as much of that out of my writing as much as possible. I'm like fucking stupid about. I'm like fucking stupid about it, really. Okay. The fire moves to be above the table. From the flames, shapes begin to emerge. You can make out what looks to be an eastern dragon flying towards a large piece of land, surrounded by a dome. The fiery changes colors and intensity, yet you feel not heat coming from the image that's appeared. See, that land of fantasy you talk about was called Mitsokyo. It had this natural call to creatures of fantasy like me and you buds. Place's very nature got to all of us and brought us towards it. Normally, someone as strong and powerful as me would just ignore the thing. But this was in the early days of the place, and I was interested in checking out this so-called yokai paradise. The shape changes, and from it emerges the dragon in the now recognizable shape of Aho, colored in an orange, somehow distinct from all the other colors present. She stands on a hill, overlooking a collection of what may be a ramshackle buildings surrounding a gate. In what would be the sky, you see various small blue figures with wings. What I saw sure wasn't normal. Even all the way back then, you can see any yokai just casually flying in the air at the sight of a human settlement. Inside of a human settlement. Hell, they were fighting with those near useless Danmaku too. Never saw that stuff till I went to Gensokyo. Before I found out about the stuff, I'd be fighting with my good old flames and claws. First off, the pinata names are misspelled. You can hope I don't drop your fanfic in the early stages because it gets bad. Well, I mean, I would only notice in regards to it being an internal inconsistency. I wouldn't know if like a character's name was spelled wrong because like I don't know the characters of that would like be featured in your fanfic. Aho smiles fondly as she recalls those times that make you shiver in fear to think of. Of what could have become of Tomo instead of fighting with Danmaku, Aho had simply clawed and blew fire at her. The image changes slightly now, to where one of the blue figures is now next to Aho. Aho was looking down at the small childlike yokai. During that time that a fairy thought she was hot enough shit to approach me, she's coming up real quick at me. I did what any self-respecting dragon would do. Blue fairy next to Aho lights a bright red before disappearing back into the other images. I burned the presumptuous kid up. Fairies aren't exactly known to die, so I thought it'd be fine and she'd be back doing her stuff a bit wiser and more cautious. Good lesson for the suicidal little adults. But instead, the flame Aho moves in such a way that keenly shows surprise that the blue fairy appears once again next to here. Somehow, even if they had fairy faces, the fairy would be having a bright smile on their face right now. That girl was back within seconds. Creepiest thing was she just kept speaking like I didn't just light her up. Talking about how excited she was to meet a new friend and whatever. Aho scoffs as she said that. Sorry to interrupt, you say, but that fairy was techie, I'm guessing. I didn't know fairies could revive like that. It's a shock, but it does make some sense, you guess. As a form of nature, it makes sense that as long as their aspect of nature exists, they'd continue to exist too. Yeah, fairies don't have a pet of death. Or it's supposed to be concept. Literally. If you kill them, they'll always be back later. Aho helpfully says. But normally, it'll take them more than a couple of hours or days to be back in action. Till then, I never see one come back so quickly, so I got interested. The flames condense and reform again. This time it's now a close-up. Imagine of Aho and Teki. Still faceless, talking to one another. Teki is flying with her arms up in excitement while Aho is leaning against a nearby tree, arms crossed. Her name was Teki. Fancy fairy that had come to the call of the land. Said she'd been there for a couple of weeks and told me all about Danmaku, the idea behind it, and all that shite. Oh, Aho's British is coming out. She's Japanese. Why is she speaking British? Although, okay, shite is not exactly necessarily British, right? Like, Irish people use it too. Or at least I think Irish people use it too. Or do Irish people use it exclusively? Is it an Irish thing? Am I dumb and wrong? I might be. I know she whips out some Britishism sometimes, though. Some folks called sages were trying to get people to adopt it as a new way of fighting, but we're having trouble getting people to accept. Tech was good enough to teach me a thing about it, and I picked it up quickly. Thought it seemed like a good way for me to fight people without them running away. A road forms, and Aho and Teki can be seen walking along, talking with each other. As they move along, various distinct figures you don't recognize flash up and disappear quickly, giving the feeling that the two central figures are moving. She was interesting. Actually kind of fun to talk to and fight with. Ended up exploring Gisokia together for a couple of weeks, meeting some folks along the way. Aho frowns a bit as people continue to flash up and return to flames. That you meet him now, though. For every yokai who was there died once a barrier surrounding the place went down. That catches your attention. But he's fine. Don't you think they might still? No. Aho says quickly and with definitive finality. Well, I definitely wasn't expecting to see Tech again. She's a fairy and whatever. Whatever she represents is still around, so it makes sense she'd be too. All the others weren't like that. For a split second, flames collapse and morph in appearance again to Aho. However, this time, she's looking alone upon the same hill she was on when she arrived in Gisokia. There are no yokai in the sky. The forest is desolated and destroyed. In the village that was there, no, it seems to be missing multiple buildings. Aho's figure in the fire is curled up on the ground upon the scene before her. What you assume is a road. You see small dots that might represent people moving, likely away from the village. The image is quickly dismissed. Flames return to Aho. Her sleeves were formed from the flames and now looking away from you. She speaks again. It's quickly and without emotion. After a few weeks, me and Tech parted. I decided I'd keep living outside the place, and she wanted to keep living there. Stupid girl ended up begging me to stay and tried fighting me with Danmaku. Should have just known I'd burn her again. Without the images, and now left with just those words, you're left feeling horrible. Because even as minutes begin to pass, Aho doesn't turn to look at you and stays extremely still. You don't need to see or hear her voice to know how painful it was to remember those times. You shouldn't have pushed her to talk. But the silence is too loud, and the atmosphere too low. So, taking note from Aho early this morning, you speak up. Yeah, that really was kind of boring. Make sure to put as much annoyance in your voice as you make sure to put as much annoyance as you possibly can into your voice as you speak. You're totally at fault too. Sure, that journey would have been way cool. Sure, that journey would have been cooler to hear if you didn't burn everyone you met. You didn't burn anyone with the fairies, though. Aho quietly says. Yeah. Sure you did. Probably would have had more friends if you, our rep there, wasn't crazy person who burns people for talking. Aho's figure turns ever so slightly towards you. No. I stopped doing that after I started moving with Tech. I ain't an ass like that. She nearly got back there. She's almost got a fire in her voice again. Need a bit more. Oh, that would be an idea. Maybe not a good one, but... Oh, I see. You flaming others is just a euphemism for raging lesbianism, isn't it? Ha! You actually managed to sit up for a second and move your arm for that one. Okay, obligatory meme. Wait, I can't remember how the meme goes. Fuck, what was the quote? I'm surrounded by raging lesbians. The room is ripe with the stench of bitches. There we go. That's the quote. That's the bomber great meme. Shadow of Al, I'm aware that you don't know much about Touhou, so like, okay. There's a Touhou comic made by an artist called Bomber Grape, and that is a quote from one of the pages of that comic. I remember. Of course I remember. It's like one of the easiest lines, meme lines to remember. Besides grit your teeth, you rice-faced whore. That's another quote from a different Touhou comic. I think that one is called Sane is annoyingly cute, I think is what that quote is from. Aho suddenly turned towards you with rage in her eyes would make you feel afraid. but that grin on her face kills any possibility of that. I ain't a hooker, you broad. I got class. I won't hit anyone's ass. Or just anyone's ass. Aho's smiles is bright and cheerful and full of teeth. Ain't some virgin maiden like you is blushing just from being held by a pretty lady. Let out a short coughing laugh. I'm a maiden, you idiot. I'm supposed to be a virgin. If you take that away from so many shrine maidens, you've forgotten that. The adrenaline running through you from excitement is doing wonders. You're easily able to move your arms about, make accusatory gestures at the dragon. I ain't taking a maiden in the chambers, you buffoon. I ain't taking anyone's precious thing. Oh, no. Oh! You reflect back at Aho with the same sly grin she has on. You've never done it, huh? I've got my reasons, but what's your excuse, Miss Awesome? You say, letting the question linger for a time on your lips. Seeing Aho give you such a disgusted look makes you realize that, yeah, this is kind of fun. In a, I shouldn't be doing this sort of way. And as Aho begins speaking again with yet another comeback, you feel a weight. You do feel a weight be removed from your chest, seeing her smile. What in Hargon's name are you listening to? The title might be translated, but it's called Hazy Starry Sky at Night Scene. It's one of the tracks from Trails from Zero, which is a game I'm going to start streaming on Friday on my other channel. Not Exedobytes, my Clips VH channel. After what must have been at least an hour of dissing each other, you're both left sitting down relaxing under the kotatsu. Seems it was just the adrenaline that let you move your arms though. You're finally able to lift the drink and tea on your own. And while you still aren't able to get up and move around, don't feel any rush to do that right now. The kotatsu is nice and warm, and the tea, now nice and bitter after Aho refilled it, leads to a much calmer environment than you'd ever thought you'd be in with a dragon. Aho's taste in tea, it turns out, is similar to your own. In fact, it's a hobby you both share and discuss for a bit. And like, you can't go wrong with the classics, you know. Earl Grey still tastes good as always. Yeah, but I still like making some nice cold iced tea occasionally. The slow way, of course. The effort just makes the tea taste all the better. Sure, you could go out and buy a device to make it in an instant, but you can't help but think that it just doesn't quite taste the same. We should apply that kind of effort equals for Okay, there should be single quotes around this. Falcom is here and you don't mean to type big. We should apply that kind of effort equals results mentality to training to those fragments of yours. Fuck yeah, dude, the lack of quotes here is fucking me up. What happened, Shadow About? Did you get your other hand stuck in the blender now? Do you have no hands left? Are you typing with your feet? Like Geddy Lee? Playing synth? On stage? I said the lack of quotes around this specific phrase is what was fucking me up when I was trying to read that line. Tilt your head in confusion. Huh? What do you mean? You bluntly ask. Well, go with the tea thing. Aho waves her hands about, as if trying to gather understanding in it. Sure, you could go out and buy some iced tea. Without you putting any effort into making it, it lacks your personal touch. You don't get it, not even slightly. Aho lets out a slight sigh. Aho lets out a sigh and gulps down her tea. Seeing her do that makes you cringe, but everyone enjoys their tea in different ways, so don't say anything about it. Mostly from what you tell me. Get those fragments in their ability, and they are abilities from just taking a nap each night. And they're not even originally your abilities. Wrong there. So you're left taken up and trying to learn things that aren't your own. I don't see a problem with that. Seeing Aho about to speak up, you decide to continue speaking to elaborate. Because I'm still having to learn how to use these abilities, so while I'm buying them from a store, it's More like I'm purchasing the ingredients to make the tea instead of getting the finished drink. That's a fucking lie. That's a fucking lie. Because the way we've seen Miko use the Dreaming Ghost Fragment to invoke death on concepts? I'm sorry, no, that's a fucking lie. How does Miko just knows how to do that? She didn't have to learn. If it was like just like, okay, snap finger, invoke death in like a person for like a few seconds and then they come back. Fine, okay, whatever. But like Miko is inviting to death like the concepts of conflict, the concepts of attention. Like, she's doing this shit to conceptual, abstract things that don't have a physical form. And yes, I'm going fucking Nasuverse memes. Yes, I'm going freaking, what's it called? Fucking Mystic Eyes of Death Perception memes, right? Where, like, Shiki's brain, like, fucking burns the fuck out every time he takes his Mystic Eye killers off. And now that makes perfect sense to me. Because, like, no, yeah, why would his brain be able to process that? It's a human brain. It can't process information on that level of reality. Or it's not supposed to. And I'm not comparing this to that, because it's a bad comparison. It's stupid. It's not even the same ability. But my main point is, you have... There's going to be a little bit more background noise. I just turned my AC on. The main point that I'm making is that you have a character who has the ability, in a very, 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 very limited capacity, to invite to death whatever she wants, right? Because she can use the fragment now. Doing that to a living thing seems easy. It's a very simple thing for her to grasp her head around. Having to do that in the spur of the moment to a concept, kind of higher tier use of the power, in my opinion. I don't know. Well, okay, hang on. Let's let me just quickly. I'll quickly fact check myself, right? Let's go. I'm pretty sure that's the way it's phrased, or that's the way it's usually phrased. It might not be the way it's like written out explicitly, but I'm pretty sure that's the way the character that this fragment represents. I think that's the way her ability is described. Okay, so if you go on the Touhou wiki and you look up Yuyuko, it says manipulation of death, manipulation of departed souls. But the general phraseology that comes with it is that, like, the butterfly motif and the butterfly bullets represent something of like an invitation to death. Is that in her profile? That's gotta be somewhere. I've read that somewhere. I know I'm not just pulling that out of nowhere. You am death? Are you also the destroyer of worlds? Are you Krishna? That's the character who said that, right? I'm not getting that wrong. He said it to Arjuna, I believe. I've never read the Mahabharata. If that's even how you pronounce it, I might be mispronouncing it. Fuck. I'm getting sidetracked on calling Miko out on her bullshit. All right, let's continue. That does stop Aho from speaking again, but this time she's humming and drumming her finger on the kotatsu. Heck, you can even feel her feet tapping under your own. You can feel her feet tapping your own under the thing. While you're taking another sip of tea, she pipes up again. Guess that makes sense. Still feels wrong to me that you're more or less stealing other people's skills and abilities and calling them your own. But that's not true. That's a weird thing to say, because it's very obviously not true. Huh? Aho, as per usual, doesn't hide the exasperation and doubt she feels. How'd you know that, though? Oh, right. You forgot that since you last told Aho about the fragments, you learned some new stuff. You feel your face slightly heat up at that foolish mistake. Well, I learned last night when I went to the sea again. Aho gives a nod of understanding, and Aho gives a nod of understanding as things seem to click in her head. Yeah, I get it now. Must be connected to your limbs failing, more or less failing, I'm guessing. Add attention now. Aho's put her hands together, leans on the kotatsu, creating a bridge with her fingers that she puts under her nose. That's right. You feel a shiver go through your body as you remember that void of feeling you underwent. The lack of control and the fear of having that happen again. You're happy that Igai will likely want to sleep with you again. You're happy that Igai will likely want to sleep with you again tonight, because you have a hard time imagining going to bed by yourself anytime soon. Sure you want to talk about it? Don't exactly seem good remembering it. You wave your hand dismissively, trying to dismiss Aho's concerns. No, it'll be fine. It was a lot, is all. Silence permeates the room for a few moments, as no one says anything. It takes you longer than you'd care to admit to realize that Aho is waiting for you to start talking. Last night I met Kyohi. Face to face. Huh? The Shikigami you were talking about? Or she's just a voice in your head. So did I, but she somehow managed to take physical form and started to talk to me. Consider for a second telling Aho about everything that Kyohi told you. The talk of worthlessness, how you wasted your time, how you're a failure. You feel your breathing become slightly more rapid remembering that. She doesn't need to know for now. You don't need to remember for now. Aho definitely notices your hesitation, but she doesn't say anything other than raising an eyebrow slightly. She said some things, then showed me a memory from a fragment. I don't quite understand how she did it, but according to her, she can connect psyches and did that. The fragment she used, the one I used on you this morning, managed to, well, leave the memory and confronted Kyohi. She was a girl, maybe a young woman, with small horns on her head. Must have moved against Tokyo after I left then. Probably a young yokai too if she had horns and they were small. Aho says, chiming in with some information. Huh. She did say she was weak. She said she was weak. So I guess that makes sense. You question aloud that possibility. Does age even have an effect on how powerful yokai is, though? Oh, that's right. Recalling that time, you remember a detail Aho should probably know. I don't know how it's happening, but I think I was between conscious and unconscious during that. I remember clearly what the horn girl was thinking and everything that happened between those two, but You want to tell Aho about that horrible void of existence you felt. But look, Aho says angrily, slamming her hands on the kotatsu. I guess you probably couldn't feel a thing, right? You ain't describe what this Kyohi looked like, but I'm guessing she had a big old third eye looking at you, right? Your legs retreat from the kotatsu in surprise at the accuracy of Aho's guess. And sure, you'd be happy about being able to move your legs at least a little bit more, but any happiness from that is being overwhelmed by surprise currently. Yeah, that's exactly right. How did you know? Aho disintegrates one of her sleeves again and forms an image that's almost exactly like how Kyohi looks. Or, at least, generally speaking. Instead of long hair and a rather drab dress, this figure has short hair and what you might imagine is a fancy dress on. The clear similarity between this figure and Kyohi, though, is the massive third eye floating a few inches forward. Remember that if a focus ability has something to do with the mind, they usually Satori. Or just annoying buggers can do stuff like killing a person's senses and locking them in their own mind. Aho swipes the fire figure and reformed her sleeve. Hated him whenever I met. Read your mind, blurted out your secrets, and were universally cowards and assholes. Well, I don't know if you could describe Kyohi as a coward, considering that she continued to stand for herself in the face of all those fragments that surrounded her. Well, you'll hold off for now on if she's truly an asshole or not. If you're trapped in your mind like that, it makes sense you'd be useless with your limbs when you woke up. I can't imagine how it felt to be trapped in your thoughts like that. Aho's grimace makes you feel a bit better, as you're happy that you can at least sympathize with how horrible the entire experience was. Yeah, it was really bad. I was panicking when I woke up, and probably would have been trapped in bed for hours if Igai wasn't there. You give a sad smile, as while you're thankful for Igai's help, you still regret scarring her like you did. Sounds like that horny girlie did something nice for you, though. Did you stand up against Satori like that? Or is that something good in your heart? Well, I guess. Because she managed to have other fragments rally with her. I learned that the fragments are portions of someone's soul and memories that have been stored inside the Yin-Yang Orb. Kyohi uses her ability to connect them to me, and that's how I gained their power. Make it clear for me to think... Make it clear for me, though. I think I get it. Wait, what? Make it clear for me, though? I think I get it. But how does this relate to you knowing that you ain't stealing those folks' skills and abilities? Should be a question mark. Aho's doubt and/or confusion is understandable. The whole situation is mind-boggling if you're going to be honest. Heck, the modern world has been trying its best to disprove the concept of a soul for years now. Most people didn't even believe in them. Well, the Horn Girl mentioned that normally the fragments weren't aware of what's happening around them. But because of Kyohi messing with things last night, they were more aware than usual. And the Horn Girl made it clear that she wasn't the only one who agreed with my dream. So I don't think I'd be able to use the fragments if some part of them didn't want to help me. At least you hope so. You don't know if you could use the fragments if it was against the will of the person it came from. Wait a sec. Aho holds up her hand to signal you to slow down. You actually got a point in gathering up this harem of yours? He says incredulously. Oh, I guess I haven't told you, huh? You say while rubbing the back of your head. Sometimes you're a bit too absent-minded. And Aho shaking her head and sighing reinforces that notion. Well, I don't like that people are always harmed by the cycle of fantasy and truth. As you speak, feel a fire burning in your chest and stand up straighter. I refuse to just blindly support fantasy and want to stop people in the future suffer from such an unfair world. I want to break this horrible cycle of fantasy and truth and make something better. When your last words leave your chest, you feel as if they hold a special power. It might just be the vigor with which you speak, spilling over into your perception, or simply the natural excitement at sharing your wish with another. But it's undoubtable that this feeling could be removed from you. Become a core of your being, unmoving and unshakable. But for a moment, as you look at Aho, you worry. Worry that she'll reject your dream. That she'll laugh it off, call you an idiot. And you may have once again trusted too quickly. She does laugh. She laughs hard and long. Your heart sinks further and further into despair. But then she speaks. I like big dreams like that, Miko. That's the kind of thing I can get behind. Aho excitedly grabs you and pulls you to her side. Making the world as you want it, everyone else be damned. I didn't know you had a dragon spirit in you. It's still more than a little annoying to be hugged so suddenly, but you don't particularly care about this transgression right now. No, because you're unstoppably relieved that Aho, at the very least, doesn't speak negatively of your dream. There's unique happiness to having words of reassure from someone as strong as her. Aho wipes away a single stray tear after laughing so hard. And man, if those fragments are going to work with you like that, I'll do the same. Now that was unexpected. What does that mean? You're still a tad too weak to actually pull yourself out of Aho's grip, but you do make an attempt so you can better view her as you speak to her. I'm gonna be training you on now. I'm training you on how to make some proper iced tea. Put that in a word you understand. I'm gonna train you into a real fighting machine when using them fragments. That makes you stop struggling in a heartbeat. As you slowly turn towards the dragon who lets you go and return to your previous seat. Really? Someone as strong as you would personally train me. It's an idea you never really considered before. Where someone like Tomo seemed approachable as she was just... Where someone like Tomo seemed approachable as she was just... Though to you, a scary one goes... Oh, fucking hell. Where someone like Tomo seemed approachable as she was just, though to you, a scary one... Oh god. Okay, I can't read this. She wasn't anything horribly frightfully strong as a basic concept. But a dragon? We never normally stand a chance against a dragon. So to be trained by the strongest? That might be just what you need. Because no matter what, you can't help but think that in the future, you have to fight to achieve your dream. Heck, Kyohi has proved that not everyone's going to agree with it. Saying nothing of those who would keep the world of truth going. I didn't mention before, but I'm more or less a master with Danmaku. I know so much, it'll be easy to train you using those fragments. Aho exudes such confidence as she speaks. You honestly don't find yourself willing to decline such an amazing offer. And you'll be fine doing it whenever, because I don't think we normally have enough time, so... Nah, it'll be fine. Heck, a single session would barely even take an hour to go through. We'd be able to start whenever. Yeah, today, tomorrow, or even in a week. Aho says as she brings a finger listing off possible times you two could start. Well, there's really only one thing to say to this. The smile you wear is more real than the floor you sit on. Thank you, Aho. Aho, for her part, smiles. When she smiles with her fangs like that, it's a bit charming, isn't it? Oh, there she is on screen. Yeah, it is. Best girl. You two spend the next 2 or so hours working on getting your body back into a state where you can use it. That's why your upper body seems to have almost fully recovered. There's still much difficulty when trying to walk around the room. Now I was trying her best to help you, but it's clear she's never had to help someone do something as seemingly simple as walking before. You tried to keep your knees straight, and advice like this isn't exactly good. Again, yes, I have, but I still don't know when I'm even putting any effort in doing so, so it's pointless. And yes, the annoying of still failing to walk by yourself even after 2 hours does seep out into your sentences. It's totally unfair to Aho, but you don't doubt there wouldn't be someone's upset after trying for so long. Okay, don't get too feisty now. Look, try having you take my hands and walk like that again, okay? You just got yourself halfway across the room when we did that. Last time we did that. Aho says while walking towards you with her hands extended. The best you've managed after this time is just standing in place. Fine. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and then it goes on, right? You ask as you grab onto Aho's hands, nearly falling right into her. Yep, at least I remember something like that, so... The process goes slowly. Aho and you take steps together with her slowly pulling you along to get you moving. Whenever you're about to fall or do, Aho brings you close to her so you can regain your balance. The process is again very slow. It honestly makes you think that maybe you're not really all that patient. Maybe you're not really all the patient of a person normally. Sure, you barely ever did anything after Mom and Dad died, but never felt all too annoyed with what you were able to do. Maybe that's just because you were never incapable of doing anything like you are right now. Oh yeah, that's right. Even when speaking so suddenly, Aho doesn't trip or miss timing as you continue your 5th consecutive attempt across the room together. Last time you managed to get only a fourth of the way across before your knees buckled. You got another thing on your mind? Aho quietly inquires. You notice that since she started actively helping you move again, Aho doesn't speak too loudly. Especially just concentrating on helping you too much to be as boisterous as usual. On the next step forward, you trip again and Aho pulls you into her chest. Letting out a small huff of frustration, the two of you return to one side of the room and resume the exercise. You said before you knew my family, right? Back when I... Trail off, not wanting to directly mention the event. When you told me in the ghost office what you're gonna say, right? Don't gotta skirt around it. Aho says as she takes your hands and pulls you from the wall. Attempting to get you to move quicker across the room this time. Yeah. Back then. You said you'd been watching over Use for a long time. The quicker steps do manage to get you further through the room. More than halfway, in fact. But the entire way, you were more so falling than walking. Not gonna ask me about who I made the deal with, right? Aho says she pulls you close again when you fall this time. The dragon's pride is a serious thing you can't play around with. You suppress a blush that tries to creep over on your face, being so close to another person. But you don't back away. Your attempt before made it clear that I was not going to let you do something that could end up with you getting hurt. No, of course not. You made it clear then that you wouldn't, but you mentioned you being a guardian of the shrine for a long time. She knew about your parents' death. Could you please tell me what that's about? You'll be grabbing some tea that's still in the katatsu, though much colder as you've been at this for long enough. The tea has long since lost its heat. Aho and you take a drink before going back to try again. Well, Aho says, he's leaning against the wall once more. I won't tell you who made me take that promise. I'll say since Gensokyo broke down, I've been living in that lake. Though, funnily enough, Aho says as you nearly fall. That lake was a last-minute addition before the place fell. The result of a long battle between some powerful folks, I heard. This time, when you fall, it's not because your knees gave out, but out of the sheer surprise from learning that, back when Gensokyo was still around, there are people strong enough to create entire lakes from their fights? Are you gonna have to reach that level one day? Don't feel so surprised. Heck, try and make the time could straight up leave reality. Seriously, more or less all those folks inside the place were absolute freaks when it came to power. Aho easily catches the real reason for your fall, and doesn't have you start over because of that. Wait, you stop moving as what Aho just said fully processes in your mind. If the Shrine Maiden back then was this place's Shrine Maiden, then you met my super great grandmother? That's insane to even think. And from what you understand, beings of fantasy were outright killed after truth took over. Dragons are definitely insanely strong. Yep, can't quite recall the girl's name, but hearing her exploits definitely makes me wish I'd stayed around Gensokyo. Sounds like it was a real fun place for just about everyone until things went to shit. Knowingly enough, this time you managed to make it more than 90% of the way across the room before you fell again. Nearly landing on the floor before Aho catches you. This time you give a mighty huff. This time when you give a mighty huff, you end up exhaling directly in Aho's face. God, watch where you huff and puff, Miss Wolf. Aho says while wiping her face with her sleeve, which is made of fire. You don't try to think too much about how that works too deeply. Sorry. You say as a half-hearted apology. As you two once again start over. But I'm more interested in the fact that it sounds like you actually interacted with that Shrine Maiden, because from what you said, that'd go against the promise you made. Why? Don't talk if you're gonna start lagging behind. Aho quietly yells at you as she ends up having to drag you as she walks. Anyway, because I hadn't made that promise yet. Don't go thinking I got made whole. Don't go think I got to make friends with your entire family or anything. Halfway again. You won't lie. This time you fell because you were super thirsty and wanted another helping of tea. Ah, good stuff. I did learn some stuff from watching your family, though. Oh, I did learn stuff watching your family, though. Free to tell you that if you want. And when I say it was boring this time, I'm being totally honest. You almost want to swat away Aho's hand when she goes for a fourth cup of tea, as at this rate, you don't know how much longer your supply of tea bags will last. In fact, if she goes for a fifth, when she goes for a fifth, nothing comes out of the teapot this time. Dang it, Aho, just fill it up with water this time or I'll make you pay for the next batch of tea bags. You don't put much effort into saying that, though. That's more a pet peeve than real anger you're feeling. Got it. Boiling water it is. He says like it's a perfectly normal thing to get as she leaves the room and goes to the kitchen. Get it cold, for goodness sake! You yell back at her as you practice standing up and down while she's away. Of course, your mind isn't staying idle while Aho's away. It's roaming about, wondering about what that offer of hers and what exactly you want to know. Because what she said yesterday about you knowing very little about the Hakure family is completely right. You know your family name has a weirdly strong amount of pushing power in Zen. Heck, it's why you don't even have to pay an ounce of taxes despite living on such a large piece of land, and why no one's able to buy it from you. And when you went looking once for your family tree and the origin of the Hakure name, you hit a dead end as the records just did not stop going further and further into the past. Well, wait, hang on. Wouldn't that mean she didn't reach a dead end, though? Wouldn't that mean she just kind of gave up? If it just kept going further and further into the past without stopping, it just means she just kind of gave up. But when it comes to knowing some things about your family's past, okay. Families spelled wrong. This is the plural form of families, not possessive. I'm not pointing out every single one, but I will read it as is, which is technically still pointing it out. There's some specific questions you want answered, but you're not sure if all of them should be asked. No one dies in Zen except by old age. So why did they die? Distracted by dark thoughts, don't notice Aho enter the room until she slams a tea set filled with water onto the Kitatsu, making you jump and fall in surprise. There you go. Take a nice long drink this time, Aho happily says. I want to dismiss a great opportunity to stop thinking on the past. Gulp down multiple cups of water, along with Aho, before the two of you return to exercises and resume speaking. Well, I don't want to hear my entire family's history. That spelled wrong again. But I would like to know a couple things, you say. As this time, Aho only takes one of your hands as you try to rely on less on her to walk. Shoot him at me. So, has anyone else other than the Shrine Maiden you mentioned displayed any kind of ability? Like what you and all the yokai have? You saw a face scrunched up as you concentrate, speaking and walking at the same time. Problem at Visay. As expected, you were able to cross even less of the room than before. It would have been best to wait and try this until after you made it across the room once, but dang it, you're inpatient right now. No, this isn't inpatient, this is outpatient because she's not in a hospital. Besides her? Nope. And while that yin-yang orb you got has been there from the start, it ain't done a thing for anyone. Was just kept enshrined here. And watch it! Aho yells out at you, you nearly fall into Kitatsu. She actually needs to fly to catch you this time. Thanks. So then, what about Zen? What's my family's connection to it? Is that a sigh of exhaustion as you're put back on your feet? It's really tiring working out like this for hours. Then? Sorry, that's what I call the city. I, can't say the actual name, or even read it. You hesitantly confess. You'd greatly prefer that people didn't know that little fact. Aho doesn't actually say anything at that, and just gives a thoughtful hum and understanding nod. Okay. Kinda get what you're saying. And to answer your question, the place apparently used to rely on the Hakure family for protection from yokai and stuff, since we're more or less directly where Kinsoku used to be. In a world of truth, people here still remember to honor the past at least a little. Try to hide the frown that forms on your face, because the thought that people here would honor the past from everything you've experienced sounds incredibly stupid. Maybe, is all you say though. You don't need to talk about that time. Hey, did you notice? Aho quietly chimes, breaking your thoughts. Until your head confused, but it quickly comes to you. You finally manage to reach the other side of the room. And that, at some point, Aho would let go of your hands and manage to walk over on your own. That brings a small smile onto your face. Thank goodness. I was worried I'd still be feeling off for the entire day. Thank Aho. You say, as without her, would have likely taken a longer time to recover on your own. No problem, Miko, but, Strangely, Aho looks away from your happy smile. Actually, even seems kind of nervous. Are you sure you ain't been avoiding asking me about something? The happiness you felt is pulled out from under you. Because despite your best efforts, Aho's managed to see through the real reason you want to talk about your family. Or rather, that you wanted to ask about your close family. The room remains quiet for minutes. Long enough that Aho guides you back to the Katatsu and give you a cup of water to drink. In silence, you slowly slip it as you consider if you should really voice your true thoughts. The fear and hate, the silent accusation that comes from the question is uncomfortable. And I don't want to burden Aho with that. You don't think you want to know the answer? Not right now. No. I don't have anything else I want to ask. Your voice is so slow that it's barely a whisper when you speak. Words are hollow. The words are hollow and false. So blatantly so. I should have. Silence is broken by words that confirm multiple things. It completely breaks your heart. You want to cry, but force yourself to stay stone-faced. Skip the musical spoilers. I need a bidding track, please. I don't think I'm going to find anything. Dragon's pride and promise are unbreakable. There are things that to break is to declare myself as no longer being a dragon. The way that Aho speaks drops any sign of jovialness and even holds a tone that speaks of incredibly regret. It's not what you want to hear. So for me, I could do nothing. I thought the entire thing to be a waste. I said that my ability and status as a dragon would be more valuable to someone in the future who'd need it. After that sentence, and said solemnly, and goes silent for what feels like hours. It was truly only minutes. I don't know what you're talking about, you say. Yes. You don't know what Aho is talking about. She couldn't possibly be saying that her status as a dragon worth a child seeing their parents bleed out. Worth seeing the chunks of wood that cut into the flesh of her parents. Where they both cried for help and begged their child to turn away. Aho, a dragon who speaks so highly of her pride, couldn't declare herself the guardian of the shrine, and yet a child pulled a chunk of wood that had lobbed itself into her mother's leg, an act which would only accelerate their death and increase their pain, as they were to learn. Oh. And how could that child forget the blood? The buckets and buckets worth of blood that spilled out from her father's chest from a gash that was at least 2 inches deep. I never stopped emptying him of that much needed life, no matter how many towels or leaves or clothes she used to make it at least slow down. Yes, you're aware of the voice of Aho trying to call out to you as you remember further and further what that child must have felt. Or, no. The child's parents were not yet dead when the emergency services arrived. That relief she'd felt when she saw them. She had witnessed people lose their head and have it reattached to their body. Their body torn in half and be put together hours later. Even once, a person whose heart had not beaten for days to be brought back without issue. Then all that hope was turned to despair, as the police rushed her off to the side and the medics brought out the bags which only the dead were put into. That child, so close to adulthood, tried to rush through the arms of the police only to be told it was too late. They're dead. They're too far gone to recover. It's lies. For society they could do so much, it had to be a lie. A lie that her last words to her parents were begging them to stay, not give up, to promise that they'd be okay. But the girl's last words couldn't be lies. Couldn't. I had to do that one. Reality forms is recalled with clarity. You feel a painful slap on your cheek. The culprit is obvious as her hand is clearly connected to her. Oh? You hesitantly say. What just happened? Why does she look so scared? What could make Aho look scared? Yeah, the shadows in the room were a bit weird if you didn't blink for a while, but other than that, what was to be scared of for someone so strong? You okay? Are you okay? You ask Aho. Worried about what could have possibly scared someone like her. Do you remember what just happened, Miko? Aho exclaims as she shakes her shoulders. Honestly, it's a little scary to see Aho acting so pushy. I asked you about my family, and then? We instantly answer, as that's definitely the last thing you two talked about. Aho, for her part, opens her mouth once, then twice, before keeping it closed and pursing her lips. Seriously, what's going on? Yeah, you did. Then you tried getting up and fell over. Saw some blood on your head and got worried when you didn't get back up. Aho says and reaches towards your head, before touching it somewhere and you feel a flare of pain. She pulls her hand back and shows you some blood and hair that's clearly yours. See? You left a small mark. Definitely should have been taking it easy. Doesn't fit. As Aho speaks, she takes you hands, lifts you up. You don't feel like you could stand on your own. But with the wound and everything, you don't feel like you can't stand on your own. But with the wound and everything, you don't know how Aho could lie about it. Thanks for your concern, but that's roughly where Aho did. But before you can, Aho takes you hand and pulls it back. Wait, don't go and touch it. You got something to cover stuff like that, right? Let's get that, okay? When Aho speaks, she holds enough command in her voice for you to be unable to deny answering her or asking any questions. Well, there's a few in my room, I managed to say. Good, let's go there then. Aho says, while more or less dragging you by the hands over to your room. Sure, it's weird that Aho would be so insistent on helping you, but considering she's already considering she's already offered to train you, maybe this, helping you walk again, is just her showing how much she wants to help? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we got some memes. Miko's spiritual power went up. No, we recovered. And now we can train with Aho. When experimenting with Fragment, you can now work with Aho to achieve the result in half the time. Or the same result in half the time, I presume that's meant to say. Meaning that if we were to practice with a Fragment now, in the story, like in the current part of the story, Miko would gain new memes faster. Okay. And also, we've learned a trait. We got traumatic past. Okay, so we're at a pretty decent stopping point here. So what I'm gonna do is gonna be right back for a second. I need to make a trip to the litter box. I'm gonna put this screen on, and I'm gonna head off for a second. I'll be right back. Well, could a loser write post-fantasy? I don't think so. I don't think so. Could a loser stream himself reading post-fantasy? Fucking big time. Fucking take that, Bob's low self-esteem. Just went 3 notches higher. Get fucking wrecked. Okay, let's come back. let's come back here. Double check the chat. Yeah, it's still live chat. Okay, so we're gonna stop here because this is a pretty good stopping point to continue next time. We're currently on page 36 of 201. I want to get a side story chapter or 2 done, so let's do that. Let me just open up my little file that I keep for this. Gotta be here somewhere. Oh, where the heck is it? Okay, here we go. There we go. Gotta remember that's the part we're on. Cool. Alright. So. Low self-esteem Chan is quite strong. Man. Alright, so let's do a couple side story memes. What can we do? What haven't we done? Alright. We've done the Tomo ones. Oh, we haven't done... Okay, so we did the first part. We did the second Maiden in Paradise, right? We haven't done the Night Meets Day, so we'll do that one first and foremost, right? We'll do that one first. I don't think it's that long either. Yeah, 3 pages. So, you wish to hear more of that time? The early life of the land you work towards yet again? Yes, that one's view. Certainly more than a little corrupt. But nevertheless, they're still reliable to see, if not hear. Now, where was I before? All right. Up. Now, you say, commanding the fallen and bruised Shrine Maiden to rise once more. This time, she'd failed to dodge your fourth punch after blinding her during the second. She'd failed to account for your ability, yet again. Something that even the weakest existing yokai know to account for. Because all those who didn't have died. Can we have a break, miss? We've been going for hours already. The Shrine Maiden heaves and huffs as she speaks, barely even able to stand up on her own 2 feet. In response to her ludicrous question, you call upon the shadow once more and strike her legs. Gah! She yelps as the shadow strikes below her knee. But this time, clearly gone a bit too far. You can see the blood begin to pour out of her newest wounds. And her cries have increased in volume such that from experience, you're certain you've just broken one of the whelp's bones. Training isn't over until I say it's over, or you break. You walk up beside the crying Shrine Maiden whose attempts to keep a straight face almost make you laugh. Someone this pathetic really supposed to protect this new land? You lift up the maiden's legs, ignoring her increased cries as you examine her injuries. And obviously, you've chosen to break. Because if that wasn't what you wanted, you'd have properly braced your body as I've taught you. Looking at her legs, you see the skin has been ripped apart where you striked her. The white of the bone underneath manages to shine through, mixes with delicious scarlet blood. You're almost tempted to take a small bite of the girl, rein your instincts in. Instead, you feel the darkness within her body, and spread that awareness out. It's a slow and arduous process, until the shadows slowly move, identifying with them all the breaks and injuries you've caused to the Shrine Maiden during this frankly short session. You find it more than a little annoying when the maiden actually manages to speak while you work on fixing her. I really tried to keep up the barrier like you said, miss, she whines. But it's just too hard to do without using any seals. I tell you to be silent, you hiss with the annoyance. I'm certain you'd nevertheless talk. As such, you'd be better off speaking not of excuses for your failure, but of reasons for it instead. Me next roommate? Yeah. But it's not an excuse. Really, miss. Ow, ow, ow! She cries out as you accidentally tighten the shadows around her wound a little bit more than it needs to be. The maiden's face scrunches up in a way that's similar to a wounded animal when you play with them. Not so rough, miss, please, she begs. You tell her to shut up. That would be pointless now. You wrap the shadows around the wounds, closing them. A little bit of magic, the shadows disappear. Where once blood and bones were exposed, now the soft skin of a human. Without a word, you get up and begin to walk back towards the shrine. You need to speak of what the child's supposed to do at this point, thankfully. You hear her obediently follow quickly behind you. Stone is still new underneath your feet. Sign of the great change that has come to this land. The strong and old once ruled, the meek and young must also reside. An unnatural perversion of nature that has you stomping your feet, deliberately damaging the stones as you walk. Your seals are quite well, though that is still being the only thing you do even remotely well, even after all these months is more than worrying. Speak to the girl without looking at her. Though in reality, you're less concerned about her lack of progress because you care for her, but more so because the sages have been bothering you about it. Oddly enough, the child keeps quiet when you mention her failing yet again. She has some sort of retort to bring up. An excuse, a reason, whatever she might have thought up for that day to avoid taking responsibility for her weakness. You aren't speaking nonsense as you're usually prone to doing. I suppose you're ready to burn. You grunt in pain as your movement is suddenly stopped by a translucent blue barrier. It stops your movement as you approach the entrance of the shrine. For a second, you almost think that the annoying gap yokai has shown up to bother you some more. You don't smell the stench of that hag. Give an experimental tap on the barrier. I'm unsure of how it would have been put up by her. I'm sure of how it could have been put up by her. You even gives a quick glance behind to see if the child's responsible for this. But she's pointedly avoiding your gaze, which means she's definitely responsible for this. But a quick pulse, descent through the shadows leads you to find the reason for this blockage, though. As set up around the shrine are seals and charms to create this protective barrier. Wondering just how strong this barrier is, you have to push your arm through. But it burns. The barrier burns your arm. You can even hear the child behind you voice her surprise as you manage to get past your arm, now burned and shriveled through the barrier. Interesting. It takes no effort still to simply destroy the charms around and quickly heal your arm back. There's no doubt that what had just happened truly occurred. You don't bother to look at the shrine maiden. You do say something to her. That's what you're capable of currently with all those seals and charms. Perhaps we may have some use for others after all. Hey, there we go. That's night meets day. Done. Alright. We need... Which one would be good? Which one would be safe? Which one is one we should read? Can we read Kyohi? Did we read this one? I don't think we read this one. Is this spoilers? Also 3 pages. I think this one took place sometime in like chapter 3 maybe? I think we can read this one. I don't think this has any spoilers. Scarlet World should also be fine? Okay, we'll do that one first. That one's kind of neat. Alright, gotta zoom in. What comes next? It's a question I idly ask within my own mind as I sit down at the long dinner room table. Now I'm the mansion alone. Yes, I'm sitting alone drinking a cup of one kind of wine or another. Only my idle thoughts to keep me company. It's been a long time since I've been alone like this. No one to speak to, no one to command, no one to even just see. Mei Ling vanished quite a while ago. Though no one is certain whether she ended up leaving Gensokyo or disappeared like all the fairy maids. But from what Sakyo informed me, the fairies merely lost their physical forms and could yet return. I frown as I look at the wine glass in my hand, filled with blood-red liquid. I honestly prefer white wine, but aesthetics are ever important to keep up. Or at least they were. I mutter as I forgo sipping the drink and start drinking it like I'm the uncouth Oni enjoying a bowl of sake. Feels like my throat is burning, but it's enjoyable compared to how numb I feel otherwise. While I am disappointed the fairies are gone, I can say that it certainly doesn't sting too much. They were enjoyable to command and build a mansion with, but even I admitted to Sakia that they're quite useless on multiple occasions. But even if I told Sakia and Patchy otherwise, you miss Melee. She's as useful as a fairy against the incident resolvers and any moderately strong yokai, but did her job well enough for anyone not in those categories. Besides, I finished chugging the wine. Reaching down under the table, I grabbed one of the dozen or so bottles I brought up from the basement. It's a regret I have now that she's gone, and I never spoke up for Meiling's work ethic. Even when dozing off, she was constantly alert. And she had gained a reputation for being exceptionally lazy amongst the grandeur populace of Kinsokyo. What a shame none of those outside the mansion will ever acknowledge her abilities and skill. I went to bed as wine dribbles off my cheek. Look onto the book I said I'd be reading. I apologized in my mind both to Sakia for lying about what I'd be doing, and to Patchy for reading a perfectly good book so carelessly. Patchy hasn't left the library for so long now. Can't help but snort at that thought, and then giggle for what must be the longest I've done since this entire mess started. Me, Romelia Scarlet, sitting alone in the dining room with bottles of wine, chugging them like an Oni and a drunkard, and snorting at her own bad jokes. Like one of those scandalous articles one would see in the Boon Boon Maro. Yes, the world has clearly gone topsy-turvy. The fact that I'm even worried about Patchy being in the library is another sign of that. She was getting so much better, too. I wistfully say as I take a nearby napkin and try to clean wine off the book, even if the task is hopeless. She's going out so much more often before all this occurred. Sure, no more than a few times a month, but compared to what she was like before we moved to Kinsokyo, it was an improvement worth building a monument for. Now, though, Patchy hasn't left the library in 8 months. She spent every moment looking through the books, doing her own research, and experimenting to find some way to avoid what's inevitably going to happen. Perhaps I'm at fault for that. Perhaps if I wasn't still around, she'd spent this time making amends and enjoying what time she has to life. Maybe that's what everyone would have done if I wasn't around. And little Indians. Ledger covered the original book like a precious stuffed toy, so I was left to get one of the later versions of the book. Never been as interested in these mystery novels. Far too often I'd be completely off on who the culprit would be, and I grew frustrated enough that I called off reading them again. More straightforward stories are nicer to read. With things going so very wrong, why not read this one? Ledger certainly loved it. While I do not share my sister's taste in many things, I don't think she'd like things of poor quality. I set the wine glass down on the table and opened up the book. Might as well actually do what I told Saki I would do for once. Left, yeah, little, yeah. So I open the book and start reading. Though it's rather hard to concentrate on the text and mystery as the mansion rumbles occasionally. It only started to happen recently, but it was already becoming yet another regular occurrence I was getting used to. Saki was the one individual in the mansion who was least affected by the crumbling of our society. Certainly the emotional toll was clear, beyond the stoic head made, but her ability and skill were quite strong. Yet, they were growing weaker as the days went on. I told her it would be fine to start shrinking various parts of the mansion back to their original proportions, but she was insistent that she could keep the mansion as luxurious as ever. For the sake of her pride, I kept quiet about the many times I started to see her having to clean the mansion outside of her stop time. We shared awkward looks once the mansion started to forcefully and violently return to its original shape. I couldn't confront her on it, though. All I had told her and kept telling her was to push herself too far. I turned another page of the book, intensely scanning the words on the page, looking for any possible hints to who the culprit might be. The first murder has already happened, and I'm certain the next is just around the corner. Ledger had already read and caused many murder mysteries to happen by the time she read this book. Might she have already figured out the culprit by now? With the world essentially ending, no one at the mansion will admit that such is happening. Ledger was allowed to leave the mansion as she wished, and act as she wished. I ordered as such once I realized the severity of the situation. Time, much might be essential to fixing this mess in one way or another. I just wish she'd start to enjoy herself. Last time I'd seen my sister was a month prior. It was strange, nay, disturbing to see her act so serious. None of the playful uncaring for what was happening, none of the joy at finding something new, none of the things other than her body were something I could recognize as being my sister's. She spoke like a soldier, updating me on the goings-on in Kinsokyo, state of recovery efforts, the emergency plan that had just started to be worked on, and what she was doing to help. I had invited my sister over for a cup of tea. She came to inform her general of the war. Planter acted like what I imagined. Planter had acted what I might imagine Sakia would have if she had joined the mansion when she was a child. Certain of the way forward, prepared for all eventualities, and determination I was stronger than any sword. Of course, I had acted as if this was all just fine. If I was doing any work on my own to take care of this problem. As if I was doing any work on my own to take care of this problem. That I would use the information she was giving me, well, to help in the efforts. And, of course, I had lied once again. I frowned. Why are they all so horrible? Perhaps these fools deserve death for the lives they've ruined and taken. I say disdainfully. The more is revealed about these characters, the more that I find myself cheering for their deaths. There's a pattern here. I guess that each one has carelessly or purposely ruined the lives of other humans. I hate to see what was so great about the story that Flandre had fallen in love with. It seemed to be the same as any other murder mystery, with more horrible people than just a murderer. Would the Flandre that exists now even like this story? Did she love it just as she did before? Or would it frustrate her? And if she did think differently of it, would it be because of time or experience that changed her views? Would how she views me change if she knew how useless I was? Or did she already know? Does not care anymore. Thought stung like a Damaku bullet. That perhaps Flandre hadn't actually changed, and she's just behaving as such because she thought it would be the best way to placate me. I hadn't changed my act once during the entire incident, though I thought it was underplaying the severity of the situation to call this event a simple incident. I was not weak. And now, as my power declined, I'm still one of the strongest yokai in Gensokyo. Physical prowess is useless in this situation. What use is regenerating from enemy injury to a crack of static in the sky that consumed whatever entered it? I'm not the smartest, the most cunning, the oldest, the wisest, the most versatile, the most charismatic, or even the strongest individual in Gensokyo. Neither am I the opposite of those positive traits. Quickly, I grabbed the wine glass and chugged down all its contents in a single gulp. It's like buzz from the alcohol feels good. Blag. I turned my head and spit out to the side any of the wine that might still be in my mouth. I feel that somehow the taste is getting worse with each cup I drink. I turned back to the pages of the book, feeling that I need a more fitting trek. Okay. Fine, that works. I turned back to the pages of the book, feeling the same way as I do with the wine. The story is garbage as usual for this trite. Each word makes me dislike it more and more and more. I still have no idea who the culprit is. This is kind of reason that I hired Satori for the possession problem we had before. I have no patience for mysteries. What's the point of being sly when looking for the answer? What's the point of being sly when looking for the answer when there's always an easier, more direct way of finding it? Might as well just turn to the last page of the book and find out the truth now. I get the same experience if I read the whole thing. The answer is everything. The way one finds the answer doesn't matter. Ah. Damn it. I more or less whisper as I see that I ended up still getting some of my spit on the book that I turned away before. Far too careless of me, and it's so embarrassing that if Saki was here, I was both pretending it never happened and telling her to immediately forget the event. Instead, I had sent her away at Flandre's suggestion to help Reimu and Yukari in whatever emergency plan they were starting to enact. It was necessary to order Saki to leave because, at a time like this, she was to be anything less than my perfect maid. She really should have realized long ago that she reached that level already, and gone far beyond it. The incident resolvers, every last one of them, except for Saki until I ordered her to, have been working on resolving this event. They went from place to place, solution to solution, looking for that answer. The fact that even with Yukari's help, they're resorting to an emergency plan speaks volumes for how useless their efforts have been. Must have been. Sighing, I flipped a page. Only a small bit away from the end of the book now. Clearly this was indeed a mystery novel first and foremost. Someone kept people dying and everyone on the island dead at the end of the last chapter. I mean, who the hell the culprit could have been? Oh, fuck off! I scream aloud. I see the oh-so-convenient letter that reveals the entire mystery the police discover at the end. There's no way I could have guessed that one of the people killed wasn't actually killed. What kind of bullshit ending is this? The same kind of frustrating idiocy that perforates these novels that always try to be so clever. The answer shouldn't be impossible to find out, nor should it be found out so conveniently in the end. You should have been able to find out the answer now. People who cared all died, and only after everything is over does somebody else come to pick up the pieces? What does it matter if the mystery is solved, after everyone we care about is dead? Ah! I scream as I throw the stupid book against the nearby wall, knocking the empty wine glass off the table. At the same time as the book hits the wall, I hear the glass shatter and... millions. Countless, unending. Red and red. Red and red and red and red and red. Can't see that I... can't see. Can't leave, can't breathe, can't look, can't stop, can't go, can't be. Vibration, impact, change. Red moves. Red moves red. Infinitely. Death matched into a singularity towards the inevitable. The red is lines of things rough, things soft, things visible, things dying, things creating of all things. Movement, openings, goal. It is red yet not red. Opening and causing cascading colors I've seen since I first drank blood. I see the difference. I see the result. I can see what to do. Move my finger. Pitch it ever so slightly and... book drops to the ground. Feel shards of glass impact my leg. Trying to dig in, but failing. No longer see the scarlet strings. My breathing is heavy. My breathing is heavy now, and I grip the table's edge so hard that even reinforced with Patrick's magic cracks. I feel the need to blink, but staunchly refuse to do so. You know what? I'll see if I close my eyes. I shouldn't see it again. Not so soon. Landra has, ever since I first said I could do so, said I was lying about my ability. Or maybe just exaggerating it. I honestly don't blame her for thinking so. And her now. Saying I have the ability to manipulate fate was just me trying to put into words what I could do. Sometimes I see it. Strings of reality. Cause and effect. We're connected to a different possibility. To a different connection. To a different ending. They're always there, but when I see them, I move myself from them. I'm an architect that can move the strings freely and as I wish. But it hurts. I don't just see the strings. I understand every single one of them. I know everything about everything. I know exactly what will happen. Human will likely die within a blink of an eye as their brain shuts down from the sudden influx of knowledge. Normal yokai would last but a second. I can do it for 2. No control over when I can use my ability, or I keep any of the knowledge of what I even do while using it. I recall a scarlet of connections, that things did occur. I play off that I can control it, that I'm letting things happen in the world because I wish them to. But I control my ability as much as a puppet controls her puppeteer. Obviously, I've never told anyone this. Not even Patchy or Flandre. What would be the point other than making them worried about me, or do you think it was a pitiable tool of the universe? Damn it. I sigh. Disappointment threatening to overtake me again as I finally feel safe to close my eyes. Despite my best efforts throughout my whole life, and especially now, I can't do anything but hope for the best, and that the me that plays with these strings does it right. It would be more helpful to everyone if I were to simply disappear into that world. Fully become the architect who manipulates fate. That the best can happen for everyone. Play the part of the queen in the castle with 1,000 schemes upon 1,000 plans. Not better than a pawn playing pretend in the king's court. Uncaring of the fact that anyone might see me doing such, I reach towards a bottle of wine and pop the cork off. Look down into the bottle. The red liquid looking back into a glass, looking black without a glass to hold it in. Am I the bottle or the liquid? Do I hold my ability and obscure it from everyone else, or am I the one controlled my ability, forced by it to hide who I am? Do I do what I do because I am who I am, or am I who I am because of what I did? Another reason why I never told anyone the extent of my ability. No one else should know with such certainty that things are guaranteed. Without using my ability, there's only ever one ending to see. The book is written. I only ever pick up the pen to change it while I sleep. Nothing matters. Nothing ever will. Doesn't matter what I do. So, drink. Enjoy what time I have left. I just hope everyone else can enjoy it too. That one is Scarlet World. Remy memes. Remy's views on mystery novels does not reflect your own thoughts. I mean, can you tell that a sad person wrote this? Romelia? Like I said, man, like the one that's gotten to me the most so far is the medicine one. That's the one, that little sweet boy. That's the one that hits me the hardest out of every installment, every side story chapter, every piece so far. Like that's the one that like strikes me. Not even like because I particularly like medicine or anything. Like I kind of don't. I'm kind of indifferent to her generally, like as a Touhou, but like that one gets to me, man. Like actually. But anyway, I think we're gonna call it here for now because it's almost about that time. Or actually, no, it's exactly about that time. It's 11. It's 10:59. Gonna write every day during Inurumo, a death each day. That'll be fun. No, you can't do that, because if you do that, then there's gonna be no characters left in post-fantasy. You can't kill them all. That's the wrong move. Anyway, that's gonna be about it for now. Thanks for watching, for stopping by, for chatting. See you all next time on. Wait, fuck, dude, fuck! I almost did it. I said thanks everybody for watching, for stopping by, for chatting. See you all next time on Let's Exceed It by Caesar First. I almost said that part. I almost fucking said that part. This isn't Exceed It by this channel. This is my channel. What the fuck? Kill all the new Touhous? That's the answer obvious? What, so like the horned turtle girl from like Touhou, what was it, 18? Or was it 17? Or like Junko? Dude, Junko is still sort of like a new Who to me. Not really, but she still kind of is. Eternity Larva or Okina, like them. Shimada, like her. DRM Touhou. Shall I be the heart of a writer or a coward who thinks but does not speak? What? I don't understand. Yo, okay, so anyway, thanks for watching, for stopping by, chatting. See you all next time. Next time I see you is gonna be on Exceed It by this channel for one more week. Until this Friday, actually, for one more week until this Friday. When we do Trails from Zero. I'm thinking I'm gonna move Tokyo Xanadu to Wednesdays on Exceed It by this channel. And we're gonna do Trails from Zero on Fridays on my channel. And I'll have to figure out what to do for a Monday game. We might keep playing One Step from Eden for a little while, for a couple more weeks, because I'm enjoying that. I've been thinking about playing One Step from Eden off stream, like just to get halfway decent with characters who aren't Reva, right? And then maybe like if I get to the final boss, like maybe throw, so I could do that like on stream instead. That like maybe, I don't know. You just again through thoughts of conscious and unconscious. Please enjoy your night. Enjoy ramblings of a foolish. I mean, hey, it's fine, right? Anyway, that's it for now. Let me find something to play as hell with. This seems good enough to me, so we'll start playing that now. Anyway, thanks for everybody for watching, and good night.